Swirling the surface, he studied the mixture carefully, sensing the presence of a hidden toxin. A man reassured the room, boasting no poison had ever slipped past his trained tongue. The others began eating with confidence, unaware of the silent test that had just begun. Confident in his skill, he swallowed the soup, savoring the taste without the slightest hesitation. As flavor settled, the president exhaled deeply, then smiled. Death had been avoided once again. Steam masked the president's tears as he reflected on years of pain, growth, and regret. The assistant flinched from heat, but the president remained calm, seasoned by endurance and hard choices. He listened quietly while the president described failures, near bankruptcies, and society's rejection of their mission. Though once just a cook, Hikacho Gero had quietly handled everything thrown his way, including bodies. For Gero, every struggle endured had meaning. Today proved his sacrifice had never been in vain. During the celebration, the president offered forced congratulations, expecting heirs, not happiness from their union. Everyone reached for their spoons, unaware the soup masked something far more sinister beneath warmth. Moments later, the president convulsed violently, blood pouring from his mouth as panic spread quickly. Eyes bulging, he gasped a final insult. Gero remained calm, adjusting his gloves outside. While chaos erupted behind him, Gero walked on past streetlights, past memories toward someone he'd never forgotten. Before Gero could react, she gently asked to meet again, leaving unfinished words between them. The girl waved farewell as the car departed. Another watched silently, her expression suddenly shifting. Surprised, Gero froze by the vending machine, unaware someone nearby was watching him intently. He clenched his fists, frustrated. His glasses fell and a small voice called from behind. Later that night, injured and quiet, he ate alone while a coworker noticed his fatigue. Kakashi leaned forward, eyes bright, eager to know how he defeated the famous food taster. Gero calmly revealed he had poisoned the man too gradually, methodically over 3 long months. The explanation startled Akashi slightly, her face reflecting unease more than admiration for his method. Pouring sauce over his meal, Gero noted how absurdity made assassins effective and untraceably dangerous. Curious but careful, Akashi brought up their earlier talk, hoping he hadn't forgotten the promise. Without warning, Akashi dropped a single word: marriage, sending Gero into a stunned, coughing fit. Bitter frustration rose as he reminded her, assassins don't casually build relationships or find love. According to her, their aging grandmother insisted someone carry the Poison Clan's bloodline forward. That pressure had already surfaced. Gero was pushed toward a stranger from a distant family branch. Instead of arguing, Akashi offered him an escape, abandon tradition, live freely and choose happiness. Teasing remarks from Akashi hit harder than expected. Meanwhile, a silent glance betrayed someone watching. His phone buzzed unexpectedly. Something on the screen made Gero pause, then rise from his seat. Later that night, he approached a quiet bench, where an old comrade waited patiently. The masked man, stitched and serious, greeted Gero with familiarity as bugs rustled beneath cloth. Both men shared moonshine under the stars, exchanging brief words and memories neither would forget. Evening fell quietly as drinks were poured. 2 assassins sat in silence, sharing rare peace. Talk drifted toward family. Gero dismissed the idea, insisting solitude made life easier to manage. Breaking the calm, the stitched man revealed his intent. He was preparing for marriage soon. Gero froze mid-sip, disbelief flickering across his face. The revelation disrupted his carefully built worldview. A photo confirmed it. Despite appearances, love found him kind, loyal, and wholly unexpected. Bug User defended his journey, revealing he trained harder than ever for lasting happiness. They raised their drinks quietly. Loyalty endured, friendship wouldn't falter, even after marriage transformed their lives. As footsteps faded, Gero called out impulsively, emotions stirring louder than he had expected. Awkward honesty escaped him. He admired Bug User's courage, doubting he could ever do same. Once skeptical of love, Gero felt a shift. His friend's conviction began reshaping old beliefs. Thoughts stirred quietly. Maybe marriage wasn't weakness, but a choice made from strength and care. Praise followed Gero through the hall. His reputation as an elite assassin remained unmatched and firm. Business prospered in unexpected ways. Even the strangest artwork couldn't distract from his growing influence. Admiration turned into strategy. Clients now sought his methods, expanding services through charm and result. New recruits flanked him, beautiful, deadly, loyal. Their presence signaled trust, status, and an evolving role. Ignoring flirtation, he brushed past the women, uninterested in distractions clouding his current mission. Ahead stood a sealed chamber divided by bulletproof glass, containing a strange, isolated prisoner inside. A girl sat silently, bound by heavy straps, her eyes dulled by suspicion and fatigue. Both locked eyes unexpectedly. Neither spoke, but something unspoken past a flicker of human recognition surfaced. Despite orders to eliminate her, hesitation emerged. Her confusion met his silence, and the clock ticked. Garo delivered the sentence coldly. The girl would die slowly, pain stretching across 60 minutes. He described the poison's effects clinically: full body paralysis, intact consciousness, and agonizing clarity, until final breath. While restrained, she kept smiling, introducing herself as Mei Kinosaki, with an oddly cheerful tone. Then she faltered briefly. Garo's appearance reminded her of someone lost her very first love. Garo cut her off, unmoved. Her reputation as a swindler erased any room for sympathy. The marriage swindler sat motionless, calmly confessing the crime. Across the room, Garo watched silently. Desperation forced her into darkness. Every dirty deal, every lie, was to save her brother. Moved by her sincerity, he answered at last, a name she'd remember even after death. Elsewhere, ruthless voices doubted his resolve. To them, his conditions seemed foolish and unrealistic. Despite their mockery, professionals knew better. He killed by code, not impulse, cold, precise, in demand. Hidden observers gathered behind screens, watching silently as the assassin's trial began, under strict surveillance. Breathless and weak, her blurry gaze locked onto his. The moment carried unspoken weight. Tension filled the air. Her trembling apology puzzled him. Something in her presence disrupted his rhythm. Confusion surged, heart racing, thoughts tangled. He questioned himself, was this part of the act? Kanesaki said nothing, yet her eyes lingered unreadable, uncertain, as if trying to remember something. Before taking further action, Garo stepped away, answering an urgent emergency call from his sister Akari. Kaftea, pausing before leaving home, steadied her breath. She had something important to say. Without hesitation, Garo made his decision. He'd create an heir to protect Akari from suffering. Alarmed, Akari insisted he stop. The clan had alternatives. Garo's sacrifice wasn't the only solution. If Garo failed, Akari would be forced to bear a child against her own will. Smiling faintly, Akari insisted she'd rather surrender her future than become a burden to Garo. Jokingly, she brushed aside emotions, but behind laughter, a framed memory landed quietly in the trap. Buried under crumpled paper, her photo echoed silent protest. Garo's voice whispered, "You can't do that." Frustration boiled between them. Akari begged to be useful. Garo pushed back. Her pain was worse. Heart racing, Garo cut the call short. His attention turned sharply back toward the captive. Without hesitation, Garo approached her directly. A calm voice cut through the tension. "Hey, Kanesaki." Stunned, she froze. Garo stood firm. "If you want to live, marry me." Duty weighed heavily. To preserve his clan, he needed marriage, preferably with someone who cared. He offered more than vows. He'd help save her brother. Her guarded heart began to waver. Tears welled as Kanesaki accepted. No moment in her life had ever felt this real. Kanesaki stared him down coldly. Her response crushed. Garo, rejection, delivered without a second thought. A bitter laugh escaped her lips. Living had long lost its meaning for Kanesaki. Even hope couldn't mask reality. Escape was impossible with guards waiting beyond every hall. Smiling with defiance, she admitted the truth. This was all just for Garo's reaction. Her breath trembled. Despite mocking him, something inside cracked. A secret lingered beneath her resistance. Kanesaki challenged the proposal's foundation. Marriage without equality, she argued, was nothing more than coercion. Admitting the truth, she spoke clearly. Real connection begins only when masks are stripped away. Her question pierced deeper. Was Garo chasing marriage for duty, or to be genuinely understood? Observers mocked the exchange, believing both sides were bluffing. They underestimated how personal this had become. Neither spoke. Between them, something had shifted. Conflict paused, replaced by fragile and mutual recognition. Then he declared his code. Only those deemed irredeemable deserved death. Kanesaki listened without interruption. Garo admitted he didn't kill from justice, only convenience. A peaceful life haunted his thoughts. Disgust welled up inside him. This desire for comfort made him feel unworthy of it. For years, love felt unreachable. He'd rejected it until now, when his convictions began to crack. Everything spilled out. He wanted connection, routine, and affection, an ordinary life with someone by his side. Trained since childhood, Kanasaki only knew the Poison Clan, never school, friends, or ordinary routines. Opening up terrified Gero. Trusting someone meant unraveling years of emotional armor he couldn't easily discard. The unexpected reaction from Kanasaki pulled him back, challenging the logic behind his self-imposed isolation. Without saying much, she witnessed his most fragile moment, something he never thought he could show. Support came gently. Kanasaki believed someone would accept Gero just like she did right now. Even through her pain, Kanasaki pushed forward, offering Gero the only advice she could. Regret flooded her voice, money lost, trust broken, her brother's future ruined by one reckless act. Head lowered, she labeled herself beneath garbage, unable to meet Gero's steady gaze any longer. Despite surrounding pressure and voices urging execution, Gero rejected them all with a single quiet refusal. He stepped forward, firm and unshaken, declaring in front of everyone he still needed Kanasaki now. Gero made a desperate appeal, offering protection for Kanasaki and her brother's life in return. His voice rose with urgency, demanding her help to find a path toward genuine marriage. Kanasaki froze at his words, overwhelmed by how sudden and sincere his plea sounded. Despite past experiences with many men, she found his chaotic proposal strikingly direct and strangely genuine. Guns were drawn. Betrayal wasn't forgiven here. Gero and Kanasaki now faced a life-threatening standoff. All eyes turned toward Gero as the signal was given, an order none dared question. A tense agreement settled between them. Kanasaki still smiled, but danger hung thick in silence. From behind calm eyes, Gero faced harsh words, accused of being powerless without the assassin's mask. He spoke sharply, exposing the syndicate's cruel method, offering help cheaply, then trapping victims in permanent debt. Laughter erupted from the ringleader, mocking Gero's outrage, dismissing his words as naive and pointless. Gero injected himself mid-standoff, released smoke and declared everyone in the room as human garbage. Gunfire erupted, but confusion spread fast. Gero and Kanasaki had vanished amidst smoke and distraction tactics. From above they descended together, masked and prepared, while chaos reigned below, stunning the armed crowd. Once safely distanced, Gero administered the antidote and instructed Kanasaki to remain still and seated. Kanasaki, impressed by his precision, realized Gero's actions weren't bluff. He truly was a professional assassin. Bodies covered the floor. Gero stood unfazed, declaring that sheer numbers never equal real strength. Kanasaki confirmed they were spared, explaining her poison inflicted lasting pain, not death enough to destroy futures. Gero observed the aftermath silently. One by one, enemies writhed helplessly under the tormenting poison's effects. While chaos unfolded, Gero calmly called Akashi. Her voice reminded him what truly mattered beyond revenge. The enemy, now broken and cornered, heard Gero's final words, freeing Kanasaki from forced family expectations. After a piercing moment of clarity, Akashi's resistance broke. She finally understood what truly mattered. As silence returned, Gero reflected on connection. Finding one person to stay with is rare. Akashi gave her blessing, encouraging Gero to follow love while she inherited the clan duties. With a confident smile, he chose independence, promising to find a partner without pressure or force. Though surprised by his decision, Akashi sighed. Gero always made his own path anyway. Tears in her eyes, Akashi accepted the decision and promised to deliver Gero's message. Kanasaki, still weakened from the poison, requested Gero to carry her without hesitation or shame. Faced with uncertainty, he panicked over how to lift her respectfully without crossing any lines. With no warning, Gero picked her up. His loud reaction echoed down the empty sidewalk. Ancient bloodlines produced elite killers each generation, refining deadly arts through strict, tradition-bound training methods. Among them was Hikaru Gero, reluctant heir of the Poison Clan's lethal assassination legacy. Now forced into civilian life, he struggles with unexpected challenges far beyond poison, like women and emotions. His composure shatters as Kanasaki showers nearby, completely oblivious to his awkward inner collapse. Heat overwhelmed her suddenly. Gero panicked, unsure if this was love, poison, or both combined. Kanasaki relaxed post-mission, inviting Gero to bathe, his refusal firm, his heartbeat betraying inner turmoil. Wrapped in steam and boldness, Kanasaki teased further. Gero's panic boiled over into verbal retreat. He questioned her appearance. She replied coolly, adapting personas was necessary to seduce any potential target. Smirking confidently, Kanasaki promised mastery over attraction, insisting Gero's marriage proposal sealed their dangerous partnership. Without hesitation, he demanded lessons. Kanasaki leaned close, phone in hand, ready to begin his training. Kinosaki, ever proactive, registered Gero for a matchmaking party without his knowledge or permission. While time ticked away, Gero debated how honest he should be in his profile. Ultimately, he edited his occupation from assassin to self-employed, masking truth with something remotely believable. Arriving at the venue, Gero stood tense, his presence alone already drawing unwanted attention. She explained the party rules: more men than women meant strategy not charm would win hearts. Kinosaki instantly drew male attention, leaving Gero surrounded by rivals and tables eerily empty. While she charmed the crowd, Kinosaki explained tactics: her job was crowd control, not matchmaking. Personal grooming became part of training. Kinosaki pushed Gero to discover and refine his appeal. Determined to impress, Gero prepared his introduction, relying on memorized tips and bold resolve. Approaching a woman, he introduced himself. The moment marked his first real step into dating. Gero proudly flaunted his annual income, assuming wealth would impress her before anything else mattered. His vague answers and awkward confidence caused confusion, but she smiled politely to keep pace. Kinosaki burst in, scolding Gero using income stats made him seem creepy, not appealing. She drilled in basics: smile, eye contact, simple effort that made him human, not arrogant. Despite trying to apply her advice, his forced expressions only unsettled more women around him. Another failed smile left his date uneasy, prompting Kinosaki to pull him away immediately. Frustrated by his own awkwardness, Gero learned about dating apps. Kinosaki already found him a match. They agreed to continue training his charm, hoping relaxed practice might reveal his natural appeal. During the next date, he stiffened. Eating food from others triggered deeply ingrained survival instincts. Though trying hard to blend in, his assassin training forbade eating anything he hadn't prepared. Fighting instinct, Gero forced himself to eat, convinced nobody in a restaurant would poison him. Despite surviving the bite, the tension lingered. Kinosaki encouraged him to keep pushing forward. After leaving the venue, Gero silently wandered into a restroom, cleaner bottle gripped with purpose. Compulsively, he scrubbed every surface, pouring frustration and failure into muscle memory and chemical foam. By night's end, Gero realized he'd met 30 women but hadn't earned a single number. Gero expressed frustration over the fruitless effort, secretly hoping for at least one real connection. The sound of his name stopped Kinosaki, her attention drawn by something unspoken in his tone. He finally admitted his deepest insecurity: maybe he simply lacked the charm they were searching for. Without hesitation, Kinosaki reassured him, affirming with confidence that he possessed qualities worth showing the world. Her words landed with impact. For the first time, Gero started to believe in himself. While Gero mopped in silence, Kinosaki insisted the right match was merely hidden, not absent. Kinosaki scrubbed with determination, claiming she'd expose Gero's hidden charm even he failed to notice. Surprised by her words, Gero listened as Kinosaki revealed something she'd already found impressive in him. She pointed out Gero's love for DIY candy kits, imagining someone who'd genuinely share that joy. From a distance, a shadowed man watched the pair, his sinister gaze fixed squarely on Gero. Their walk ended casually, Kinosaki cheerfully parting ways, unaware danger lurked closer than either realized. Panic surged in Gero as he realized she'd left without details. His instincts screamed too late. From a dark vehicle, the stranger struck fast, dragging Kinosaki into the car before she resisted. Clutching her phone tightly, Kinosaki fought back, but the attacker silenced her with brutal force. As the van sped off, Gero chased helplessly, her cracked phone the only thing she dropped. While crossing the bridge, Kinosaki was questioned about a past involving the gangster's unhinged brother. Cornered in the back seat, she denied knowing anything, but tension in the car grew. He recalled how his brother once bragged, then suddenly abandoned everything for dry cleaning obsession overnight. Kinosaki's sarcasm backfired, and her mocking response made the gang leader burst with barely contained rage. Without warning, a harsh blow struck her cheek, violence now replacing the earlier false sense of control. The gangster mocked Kinosaki with threats and lead pellets, demanding she confess everything she knew. Kinosaki, bruised but defiant, refused to comply with someone exploiting weak people for profit. She exposed how his brother panicked under pressure, even tipping off cops to save himself. While the thug grew furious, Kinosaki warned that those with soft morals don't survive criminal life. Suddenly, Gero appeared in full gear, unleashing toxic mist with deadly precision to reclaim her. Seeing Gero charge in, Kinosaki shouted his name, stunned by his sudden and reckless arrival. Without hesitation, Gero sprinted between two speeding vans, risking everything to reach her in time. Chaos erupted inside the vehicle, as gas sprayed and Gero forcefully reclaimed Kinosaki from danger. He leapt off the bridge, her body tight in his arms, heels falling mid-air. In the open sky above the city lights, Gero held Kinasaki securely while descending fast. Kinasaki, exhausted but smiling, looked at Gero, grateful he risked everything to protect her. Behind them, the enemy trucks gave chase again, engines roaring as orders barked from inside. Oblivious to defeat, one of the thugs announced a ridiculous dream taking over a dry cleaner. Their reckless pursuit ended abruptly, both vans plunging off the bridge after a massive explosion. Silently walking the bridge, Gero carried Kinasaki home, the city behind them finally quiet again. Still in Gero's arms, Kinasaki quietly thanked him while clutching her recovered phone. Gero admitted his weakness, grateful for her help and trusting her to guide him further. Despite everything, Kinasaki revealed she hadn't gained any new contacts from today either. She smiled warmly, then asked if he'd like to exchange contact info with her instead. With one name added, Gero smiled, realizing it was the only one that really mattered. Gero doubted himself again, but Kinasaki looked up with unexpected sincerity in her expression. Hearing her words, Gero froze, stunned by her gaze and the compliment she didn't need to fake. Under the city lights, Kinasaki declared she had finally discovered what made him special. Gero stood waiting as Kinasaki excitedly dragged him toward the massive art gallery cruise ship. Glancing at his watch, Gero grew restless. Kinasaki was late, again, and crowds kept passing. Kinasaki arrived smiling brightly, apologizing for the delay after obsessing over her outfit all morning. Without thinking, Gero grabbed her hand. Shocked, she scolded him like a pricey escort offended. They boarded together in silence. The art exhibit doors slid open, hiding unknown surprises inside. Inside the towering gallery, Gero wondered why they'd visit a place meant for couples outings. Kinasaki announced a practice date, insisting Gero needed real-world training before meeting someone for real. Trying to comment, Gero stumbled over words, flustering himself while Kinasaki graded his awkward reactions harshly. He panicked, searching how to impress girls online after accidentally complimenting her beauty too directly. Then she smiled, reminding him the goal wasn't perfection, just shared fun without forced charm or pressure. Faced with overwhelming pressure, Gero admitted dating felt harder than assassination training ever had been. He stopped in awe. His childhood dream, a candy kit, was displayed like priceless ancient treasure. Trying to explain his obsession, Gero grew passionate while Kinasaki giggled, touched by his genuine excitement. They paused near abstract art, Gero quietly absorbing it, prompting Kinasaki to watch him curiously. Tilting sideways, Gero suggested a new perspective, revealing glimpses of playfulness buried under his stiff shell. After tilting their heads, they saw hidden patterns in the painting and laughed in surprise together. Kinasaki awarded him 30 points. Encouraged by her smile, Gero began to feel more confident. He finally asked about his charm, curious what quality made her believe he had potential. Before answering, Kinasaki led him into another room, where a strange man scratched his head. To Gero's shock, the scruffy, muttering man was married to a graceful, beautiful woman nearby. A wave of excited fans surrounded a man, shouting his name, Master Hakucho, with shining eyes. Gero watched in disbelief as young women formed a human tower to reach the art. Though strange in appearance, Hakucho was adored. His fans admired the pure brilliance in him. Kinasaki explained that talent captivates athletes. Doctors, musicians, all gain affection through what they give others. To Gero's surprise, she compared talent-driven affection to love built on charm or personality. Kinasaki fell silent as Gero quietly realized his unique abilities carried a different kind of charm. In a flashback, Gero fought off armed men alone, saving Kinasaki from being kidnapped unharmed. Before launching his counterattack, he instructed her to stay calm and close her eyes briefly. As Kinasaki obeyed, Gero prepared his syringe, timing everything precisely to end the threat instantly. After the fight, he gently reassured her strength. Without hesitation was the charm she had missed. Kinasaki proposed a new approach, no more apps or parties, just focusing on what truly matters. She revealed the goal, helping others. Gero would rescue hostages and protect those in danger. By showing bravery in action, Kinasaki believed he'd naturally attract partners who admired real strength. Conflicted, Gero questioned her logic. As an assassin, using heroism to attract love felt wrong. While Gero hesitated, Hakucho was swarmed again. Even married, he kept charming admirers with effortless pull. Kinasaki spoke gently, expressing that how people meet doesn't define the outcome of love. Even unexpected encounters, planned or not, can lead to lasting connection. if the bond truly grows. In the end, what stays is the shared journey the relationship slowly built through time together. Despite everything, the eccentric artist and his wife showed joy born from mutual understanding and trust. Giro's eyes widened, realizing she might have dragged him here just to chase a celebrity autograph. Suddenly the prized painting vanished, leaving behind a blank wall and blaring security alarms everywhere. Guards panicked. Blame quickly shifted to Himekawa, a known threat tied to past theft. With no radar signs, they assumed she remained on board. Retrieving the artwork became urgent priority. Beneath the water, a mysterious figure calmly escaped riding a shark, far from detection or reach. Focused and fearless, the diver narrowed her eyes, determined to complete the mission flawlessly undetected. She vanished beneath the radar, leaving chaos behind as officers scrambled to understand the breach. A man in the shadows smirked, holstering his weapon, already one step ahead of pursuit. Explosive escape allowed her to vanish underwater, evading detection with the help of a shark. Safely ashore, she bid farewell to her aquatic ally, confident the plan had succeeded. Before regrouping, she was seized, her allies downed, the enemy revealing they had been waiting nearby. After arriving by train, Risa outlined their next mission, holding a mysterious envelope marked Miss Kinasaki. She explained her plan clearly helped troubled women and reshape him into someone truly special. Naming the mission Project Prince, she grinned, determined to guide him toward newfound purpose. Despite his doubts and awkward reaction, he listened, unsure if he could play that role. The city lights faded behind them as she promised, "Let's find your princess next." Operation White Knight was proposed, but its flawed structure left Jaro unsure where to begin. He waited patiently as Kanasaki devoured meat, wondering how this odd partnership could possibly work. Between bites, she introduced Dark Nav, an underground site listing jobs for criminals and mercenaries. From rescue missions to bodyguard gigs, everything illegal flowed through that app like a digital market. Scrolling through low-tier listings, Jaro spotted one possible lead and asked Kanasaki for her thoughts. A masked figure appeared on screen, demanding complete surrender of every stolen artwork in custody. Their threat was clear: return all pieces, or the hostage's fate would be sealed without hesitation. Kyoko Himekawa's face flashed publicly. She was labeled a notorious criminal in the underground art scene. Despite the accusations, her mission involved reclaiming stolen art to return it to rightful families. With time running out, their task became clear: infiltrate the enemy base and rescue Himekawa immediately. The briefing ended in frustration. The job paid too little for anyone willing to take it. While others panicked over pay, Kanasaki realized the low reward meant zero competition for Jaro. Jaro calmly introduced himself, declaring his mission to rescue Himekawa, shocking the confused room of men. Recognition hit instantly. He wasn't just an assassin, but the feared poison master of the underworld. Confidence spread among them. With Jaro involved, saving Himekawa no longer seemed impossible or far-fetched. Before plans could proceed, Jaro raised a hand, pointing out a critical overlooked concern. Everyone froze in confusion, wondering if Jaro was about to demand a price in organs. Instead, he asked one serious question: did Himekawa even like men who wore glasses? Meanwhile, deep inside the enemy base, a forbidden corridor concealed Himekawa's exact location and captors. One obsessed collector offered her wealth and status, demanding she abandon her mission and comply. Himekawa instantly rejected the offer, disgusted by the man's twisted obsession and degrading proposal. Despite being restrained, she declared her purpose to steal only what injustice once took from others. She insisted the stolen portrait mourned its true owner, a victim of senseless art theft. The painting's immense value paled next to its emotional weight for the grieving surviving family. Hearing her daughter sob, the mother comforted her gently, knowing the decision now meant everything. Kneeling gently, Himekawa promised the girl she would bring her mother home safely soon. Tears welled up again, but the child tried her best to stay strong and listen. Determination fueled Himekawa's resolve. This mission wasn't just duty anymore. It became a promise worth protecting. Before she could act, a massive armored figure advanced, ready to crush her defiance immediately. Elsewhere, Gero and Kinasaki rushed through the night, prepared to breach the enemy stronghold together. Kinasaki scolded Gero for confusing everyone, but he insisted on staying committed to the mission. Using Kitami's overly accurate GPS, the pair navigated through twisting corridors toward their hidden target. Unexpectedly, two strange guards blocked the path, armed and watching them with unsettling, gleeful expressions. She froze as twin barrels aimed directly at her. Moments away from opening fire, Without hesitation, the guards declared their orders. Every intruder on board would be eliminated without exception. Kinosaki froze as gun barrels locked on, but Gero's reflection appeared in her eye. Gero launched forward, disabling both guards with brutal precision before they could pull the triggers. Still shaken, Kinosaki offered to step back, but Gero calmly asked for the next move. Instead of retreating, she stood again, realizing he needed her just as much now. Ushio gasped for air as the thick liquid poured violently down his restrained, trembling throat. The metal-clad figure gripped harder, ignoring pleas, determined to force every drop into Ushio's system. Drained and panting, Ushio stared defiantly while the observer muttered coldly. "The rats gave us slip." Without hesitation, the order came: hunt them down, eliminate them completely, leave no traces behind. As Ushio blinked away sweat, the leader smirked, signaling a sudden dangerous shift in strategy. After rescuing her, Jiro nervously introduced himself and abruptly proposed, hoping to fulfill his mission. Kinosaki rejected the awkward request, warning that such clumsy timing could get him instantly eliminated. Realizing his blunder, Jiro struck back at pursuers while reflecting on emotional awareness in relationships. She reminded him that Himekawa's trauma outweighed any romance. Jiro's duty was protection, not persuasion. Bodies on the floor, silence echoed. Jiro understood, ready to restart and truly consider her feelings. Trapped in a bare chamber, Kunosaki mocked the man's sudden switch to using a firearm. The threat turned real. He cocked the gun slowly, clarifying she was never the target. With a smile, he aimed at a portrait, triggering panic in Kunosaki's trembling voice. Calmly grinning, he muttered regrets, finally revealing the gun had always been his true intention. Everything clicked. He wasn't hunting enemies, he was collecting people, and she was next on display. With the barrel raised, he demanded her decision, forcing Kinosaki into silent, trembling reflection. Instead of fulfilling her mission, she'd endangered the painting. Sorrow and regret flooded her thoughts. Cornered and defeated, she surrendered completely, offering obedience in exchange for the painting's safety. Suddenly, acidic liquid burst forth, melting the man's hand and weapon in a sizzling surge. Staring in disbelief, he watched his disfigured limb drop beside the smoldering gun remains. Agony overtook him as flesh melted away, disbelief rising. Someone else had infiltrated the secure room. A sudden footstep echoed near him. Panic set in as an unknown presence approached silently. From the once lifeless portrait, the woman emerged, speaking cold gratitude for his intimate violation. Without warning, a precise strike pierced his throat, cutting off breath and silencing his shock. Driven by vengeance, she lunged forward with fury, prepared to finish what others couldn't stop. Gero arrived just in time, knocking the collector unconscious with a swift, decisive strike. Relief overwhelmed Himekawa as she watched her captor collapse lifelessly onto the cold prison floor. He introduced himself clearly, no longer hiding his identity as the feared master of poisons. Emotionally stunned, she listened as he reassured her she was safe and no longer alone. From the shadows, she mentor observed silently, hoping Gero's words offered true comfort despite sounding cliché. Himekawa smiled weakly, joking about their finances, while still stunned by Gero's unexpected identity. She urged caution, but Gero rushed ahead, focused solely on rescuing Himekawa beyond the door. Though unprepared for what followed, they were relieved to arrive before Himekawa suffered any harm. Before anyone could react, a hidden enemy emerged and swiftly silenced Kinosaki with a grip. Too late, they spotted a new captor restraining Kinosaki. Another threat had been waiting nearby. Watermaster Ushio prepared the valve as Kinosaki struggled, restrained and helpless before the threat. The massive cruise vessel docked silently as Gero infiltrated the facility, seeking the abducted Himekawa. Inside the dim chamber, he spotted her restrained helpless while masked assailants guarded her without hesitation. One attacker calmly withdrew a syringe, preparing to subdue the suited figure protecting the unconscious Himekawa. Charging swiftly, the man lunged, aiming the needle straight toward the suit's helmet, confident in his strike. But a sudden surge of water erupted. Gero had already moved Himekawa, disrupting their plan. Kinosaki burst in, catching Himekawa mid-air while Gero shouted instructions under pressure from pursuit. Without hesitation, Gero lunged forward, launching his armored fist at the masked enemy mid-escape attempt. The colossal punch expanded, overwhelming the attacker with force, driving him back across the chamber violently. Cracks ripped through the structure as Kinosaki shielded Himekawa from the collapse caused by Gero's impact. As dust cleared, they coughed near a massive crater. Battle's end left silence and shattered ground. Kinosaki helped Himekawa to safety, watching anxiously as Gero and the masked man confronted below. Emerging from dust and debris, both adversaries stood firm, bloodied, but not backing away yet. Suddenly, Garo flinched. The armored figure's strike came fast, nearly catching him completely off guard. To everyone's shock, the man introduced himself Watermaster Ushio, offering Garo a business card mid-conflict. With reasoned words, Ushio proposed peace, offering tenfold payment to avoid further damage or loss. Himekawa spotted Garo's last booster drug nearby and instinctively reached for it without hesitation. Garo shouted desperately, stopping her, his voice sharp, warning that the substance wasn't medicine but pure poison. Confused, she froze as Garo explained the truth. The drug wasn't aid, it was a curse. The poison master's body weaponized toxicity itself, converting even lethal doses into strength at a deadly personal cost. Ushio acknowledged the explanation, laughing, admitting his water suit wasn't so different. Both crafts bordered on unnatural. He revealed his family's diving suit, immune to all poisons, gas, needles, or biological attacks. Without delay, Garo prepared himself. The negotiation had failed, and only strength could decide the outcome. Charging forward, he evaded a crushing blow and struck the helmet seam, nearly cracking through the defenses. Realizing death would follow a single mistake, Garo relied on speed and instincts to survive Ushio's barrage. During the clash, Ushio proposed an alternative: profit over destruction, offering terms before Garo launched his next desperate sprint. While attacking, Ushio provoked Garo, implying Himekawa's importance went beyond business into something personal. Mid-air, Garo dodged an assault, but Ushio's words about love stirred something beneath his fury. A concealed blade pierced Ushio's arm slightly, his suit held, but venom had begun to leak inside. To his shock, Ushio staggered, realizing the toxin wasn't ordinary, something unknown was disrupting his system instantly. Garo countered hard, striking decisively while claiming Himekawa meant nothing. As Ushio's helmet began to crack under pressure, he launched upward and brought his heel down directly on the suit's already cracked helmet. His final blow shattered the visor as he quietly reflected on Himekawa's place in life. Below, Ushio knelt broken, stunned by Garo's perfect precision, 3 strikes on the exact same spot. Standing firm, Garo admitted longing for something ordinary like dinner with family, despite his assassin's cursed upbringing. That simple idea, once dismissed by Ushio, now left him shaken in ways he couldn't explain. Garo stood quietly, smiling with resolve, having found something worth risking everything his clan ever taught. A girl jolted awake, saw the clock blinking, and panicked. School had already started without her. Rushing downstairs, she blamed her mother, scarfing toast mid-sprint, unaware it was actually a holiday. Embarrassed laughter followed as she realized her mistake, while unseen observers studied her daily social environment. Unlike her, he ate alone in silence. Raised within strict Garo traditions, isolation was expected. Their training included studying real families, preparing to assassinate humans by understanding how they truly lived. Hidden inside artificial neighborhoods, ordinary families unknowingly lived as test subjects in the human zoo experiment. None suspected their lives were orchestrated by Garo family heirs, raised to carry out judgment. Garo, drowning in doubt, was accused of lacking the resolve to lead the Poison Clan. His challenger mocked the legacy, taunting that even a weak outsider could surpass their empire. With twisted limbs of fluid, the enemy unleashed hell's lashes, forcing Garo into immediate defense. Hinasaki shielded Himekawa with her body, intercepting the deadly strike meant for her without hesitation. Seeing her injured, Garo's fury surged. Threats turned personal as he glared at the mocking opponent. Himekawa trembled, confused and overwhelmed, questioning why they both risked everything just to protect her. Despite the mission, Hinasaki admitted Garo meant more than work. He had become something deeply personal. Gravely injured, Hinasaki urged Himekawa to flee. Garo vowed her safety was their only priority. Hinasaki smiled through pain, assuring Himekawa with shaky laughter that they'd be right behind her. Then Himekawa, instead of fleeing, stood determined, ready to help, despite knowing the danger was overwhelming. While Garo fought relentlessly, the syringe they prepared remained untouched, waiting for the right moment. Running out of tools and stamina, Garo recalled strict conditions forbidding exposure of his true power. Refusing to be controlled by rules, he erupted in rage, unleashing a furious counterattack. Himekawa crashed into the scene from above, catching Garo off guard with perfect reckless timing. She pinned him down, grinning triumphantly, insisting the dive was her only viable delivery method. Garo demanded answers, confused by her return. Himekawa calmly reminded him she came to save him. Though grateful, Garo warned her off. Himekawa insisted she wasn't waiting to be saved by anyone. Holding the syringe with steady hands, Himekawa smiled softly this time. She was saving him instead. Gero stared in stunned silence, overwhelmed by Himekawa's defiance and the enemy's escalating aggression. Before Gero could act, Himekawa was struck caught by another monstrous fluid attack, pulled off her feet. The masked attacker mocked her effort, belittling her sacrifice and Gero's failed attempt to protect her. Surrounded by twisted tendrils, Gero listened as his enemy questioned the worth of his risk. Instead of despair, he found clarity thanking Kinosaki for uniting them, no matter the painful cost. Gero stood tall, bloodied but steady, proud his first rescue mission had been for Himekawa. Facing threats and demands, he revealed the syringe already emptied, shattering the enemy's control over the situation. In one swift motion, Gero pierced the enemy's armor, exploiting a single opening without hesitation. The attacker froze in shock, unable to comprehend how Gero moved behind him so fast. An explosive blast erupted from within, ending the battle in one final devastating release of force. Rain poured down as Gero carried Himekawa away, leaving the defeated enemy motionless behind them. He paused to mock the opponent's skills, acknowledging their strength before pocketing the soaked business card. While repositioning Himekawa, he accidentally touched her inappropriately, triggering instant panic and internal meltdown from embarrassment. Desperate to justify himself, Gero pleaded with Kinosaki for guidance on how to explain everything. Gero noticed abnormal skin marks spreading fast across Ushio's body and immediately started his examination. Realizing it was airborne dermatitis, Gero prescribed a lotion referencing an old file from home. While Ushio lay defeated, Gero delivered both cure and insult, emphasizing their unbridgeable gap in power. Ushio froze, humiliated and stunned, as Kinosaki warned others about choosing smarter, more profitable fights next time. Faced with overwhelming authority, a once proud opponent groveled, begging forgiveness from the silent, merciless blonde judge. Although humiliated, Ushio lashed out, furious at Gero's decision to spare their trembling, defeated enemy. Gero dismissed the outrage coldly, explaining his code: he doesn't kill unless there's payment involved. Himekawa rejoined them confidently, insisting she wouldn't fall for another ambush, then turned to leave swiftly. With no hesitation, she summoned a giant shark and rode the waves, dragging the captives behind. Later, Himekawa gifted Kinosaki a portrait of her mother, evoking tears and a long-awaited smile. A heartfelt celebration erupted as Agaya joyfully honored her mother's portrait before the gathered crowd. In the gallery, Kinosaki discovered the painting's legacy, Mr. Egg's only treasured work ever kept. Her father recalled hardship after her mother's death, choosing love over wealth by preserving her painting. Their one wish hadn't been money or ease, it was simply staying together as a family. Kinosaki reminded Gero to accept gratitude. Even lone wolves deserve recognition for the lives they mend. As Gero watched quietly, Ige and Himekawa surprised him with a cheerful greeting and selfie. Their recorded message played genuine smiles, thanking Gero for protecting the mother they nearly lost forever. Himekawa admitted she misjudged him, surprised by his kindness behind the assassin's reputation and skills. Overwhelmed, Gero struggled to respond as Kinosaki stepped closer, finally voicing her own heartfelt gratitude. Kinosaki showed daily selfies from her brother, now recovering thanks entirely to Gero's quiet financial support. Laughing, Kinosaki scrolled through her brother's antics, amused by his energy despite medical restrictions. Everyone remembered how Gero risked everything, facing danger alone to protect their families, futures and lives. The impact of his actions became undeniable as joy returned to those he had saved. Before emotions overwhelmed him, Gero quietly excused himself, deflecting gratitude with work as his shield. Himekawa and the others chased after him, realizing they had nothing material to repay him. Himekawa offered anything in return, excluding dangerous or indecent ideas, while Gero stood quietly watching her. Flustered and overwhelmed, Gero snapped his glasses under pressure as the restaurant sign loomed ahead. While waiting outside, Gero grew uneasy. Himekawa remained calm, unaware that Kinosaki had other plans. A sudden text revealed Kinosaki's absence. She had double-booked and left Gero entirely on his own. Realizing their situation, Gero panicked as Himekawa remained composed, the evening now unexpectedly theirs to navigate. Gero infiltrated the wedding venue, disguised as a waiter, eyes locked on his dangerous target. Moving swiftly behind the scenes, he planted a toxin-laced capsule beneath the bridal stage without raising suspicion. Security doubled near the groom, forcing Gero to improvise while pretending to serve drinks with a fake smile. Unexpectedly, the bride confronted him in private, revealing she knew his identity and demanded to join his mission. With little choice, he nodded, calculating the new risks, while the ceremony unknowingly marched closer toward explosive consequences. She advised Gero to compliment her outfit, prompting an awkward attempt at mentioning her necklace. His plan stumbled as he panicked, accidentally commenting on her bangs and derailing the conversation completely. Despite the mistake, Miss Himikawa responded kindly, easing the tension while Gero scrambled to regain focus. Meanwhile, the support team decided to intervene directly, activating a backup system to assist Gero's failing date. They triggered an old mascot AI, but chaos followed as everyone remembered why it was discontinued. Kinasaki casually closed the distance, using flirtation to manipulate him while hiding her real intentions carefully. At another table, Gero hesitated, admitting his deep-rooted issue with eating anything prepared by others. He confessed his instincts were forged through constant training, mastering poison detection since early childhood, without exception. For Gero, food meant survival, not enjoyment, rendering meals emotionless tasks, performed in solitude throughout his formative years. Himikawa gently responded, revealing her own lonely past, creating a moment of silent understanding between them. Then she grew up unloved in an orphanage, adopted by a stranger only for convenience. The old man, fearing a meaningless legacy, gave her his name and fortune before passing. While exploring the mansion, she discovered a secret art collection hidden behind locked doors in silence. Inside, the neglected room overflowed with stolen paintings, concealed in darkness for years without rightful recognition. Determined to return them, she researched each piece's origin, vowing to undo the man's crimes. After returning the artwork, Himikawa lost everything and started working part-time to survive independently. Despite her light tone, Gero sensed the weight behind her story and found it inspiring. He praised her effort, moved by how her dedication brought comfort to those she helped. The sudden compliment left her in tears. She wasn't used to being acknowledged so sincerely. Collecting herself, she admitted no one had ever affirmed her choices before, and it deeply affected her. Encouraged by her cheer, Gero steadied his nerves, heart pounding louder with every second. Support from the others helped him breathe. He clenched his fist and prepared to act. Surrounded by cheers and shark costumes, he rose from his seat with newfound determination and clarity. Facing Himikawa directly, he gathered courage and asked a question weighing on him the entire night. Rather than confess love, he offered honest companionship, seeking something real, an invitation to become true friends. Himikawa's eyes softened, struck silent by the sincerity in Gero's expression as he lowered his gaze. Despite encouragement from others, he paused, reconsidering his feelings before rushing towards something he wasn't ready to face. He admitted his original plan, but emphasized honesty, knowing they barely understood each other beyond surface impressions. Himikawa acknowledged the same truth. She too had only shown the version of herself he expected. Gero confessed his darker past, revealing how much of him remained hidden beneath layers even he struggled to accept. Then he declared his intentions clearly, asking to grow closer slowly before committing to something more serious. He believed starting honestly, sharing real moments, would lead them toward a future built on mutual understanding. Both women silently watched, waiting for her response as Himikawa absorbed his words, deeply processing everything. She realized his plan had been laid bare, but appreciated his awkward honesty and genuine vulnerability underneath. With a grin, she accepted the challenge, warning him winning her heart wouldn't be easy but worth trying. A casual comment led to confusion as Gero clarified Kinasaki's identity, surprising Himikawa completely. Later that evening, she messaged him, teasingly asking him to cook since he avoids others' food. As they parted ways for new missions, their connection remained quietly acknowledged with a mutual wave. While Gero was still processing his feelings, another potential match was introduced, bringing fresh complications to his situation. Kinasaki reminded him the world was wide, meeting more people might help clarify his true desires. Then Kinasaki reminded Gero that the right person could be Himikawa or someone completely unexpected instead. She encouraged him to find true happiness, no matter who it was destined to be with. Surrounded by noise and strangers, Gero silently observed the campus party he never wanted to attend. Shiroi approached cautiously, her hands trembling with drinks. Unsure how to face someone so unreadable, calls for freshmen echoed across the room, prompting nervous glances as attention shifted toward the newcomers. He watched her crawl awkwardly on the floor, embarrassment blooming in silence no one else noticed. Alone again, she avoided eye contact as classmates approached, her hood shielding growing discomfort and confusion. Shiroi panicked under pressure, her words shaky as emotions overwhelmed her during the awkward encounter. Retreating alone, she masked her face in shame, convinced she ruined her one chance socially. Later that night, Shiroi introduced herself formally, under the watchful gaze of Gero's client. Her late father's will named Shiroi heir, but internal opposition stirred tension within the family company. Among rivals, her Aunt Fute loomed large, calculating, stylish, and entirely unpredictable in her ambitions. Rumors spread quickly Shirai's protector wasn't ordinary. Her gratitude revealed trust deeper than mere professionalism. A forged identity sealed the mission. Gero, now Daigo Oshima, officially entered college undercover. She hesitated, struggling to explain her wish, an ordinary party she desperately wanted to experience freely. Tears brimmed as she pleaded sincerely. Her voice shook with urgency he couldn't ignore or dismiss. For reasons unclear even to himself, Gero accepted. His heart reacted before logic caught up. Shirai faced the room nervously, struggling to speak as conversation topics swirled chaotically through her thoughts. Despite her awkwardness, the group responded politely. Gero observed quietly, preparing for his own introduction. He stepped forward confidently, declaring his dual role as both undercover student and legendary drinking champion. Without hesitation, he grabbed 8 full pints, challenging expectations with a calm and collected expression. Spectators stared wide-eyed as Gero downed every pint, each gulp strengthening his unexpected campus legend. With full confidence, Gero announced the final stunt, leaving the crowd confused and slightly concerned. Ignoring their reactions, he gulped down an enormous object, determined to end his performance memorably. Still smiling, he held the item proudly, expecting cheers that never came from stunned classmates. Instead of praise, silence fell. Everyone watched awkwardly as gloom settled over their failed experiment. Meanwhile, attention shifted to the last student, headphones on, isolated, about to take the spotlight next. Removing his headphones slowly, Naruko stood up. His towering presence instantly shifted the room's energy. He introduced himself vaguely, offering no details. Questions followed, but his answers grew stranger with each pause. Instead of clarifying, Naruko spoke philosophically. His gratitude and calm demeanor confused more than impressed the group. He insisted they note it, then returned to his seat, unaffected by the surrounding awkward silence. Some were charmed, others confused. Gero, meanwhile, realized college parties weren't as predictable as expected. After the awkward party ended, Shiori walked quietly, reflecting on her struggles and failed attempts. Miscommunication sparked tension. Gero denied everything while Shiori panicked, overwhelmed by emotions she couldn't control anymore. He softened, acknowledging her effort. Despite her discomfort, he respected her courage for even trying. Hearing his concern, she trembled. No one had ever acknowledged her emotional limits so directly. Tears welled as she remembered her father's words. She only wanted to feel like she belonged. Her father's advice echoed, enjoy life freely. Stop worrying so much about others' opinions. Tears fell as she admitted defeat. Intrusive thoughts always silenced her when it mattered most. Frustration boiled over. Shiori interrupted, imagining acceptance, yet fearing the rejection that might always follow. The guilt ran deeper. Failing to speak to her father still haunted her most vulnerable moments. Alone in the rain, she questioned everything, her future, her worth, and her father's choice. Determined and tearful, Shiori declared her wish to face fears and become emotionally stronger. She smiled through tears, wanting the strength to overcome fear and laugh freely despite it. Gero reminded her of real danger, yet respected her resolve and promised to protect her. From above the city, Naruko reported silently, his gaze tracking the girl from afar. With subtle admiration, he noted Gero's skill. Finding a weakness wouldn't be easy at all. Naruko smirked, tapping his cracked phone only to realize the battery was already completely drained. Stranded atop a rooftop, he shrugged off the failure, noting his oversight with mild indifference. Rain poured as Madame lashed out. Naruko had failed again, wasting a full month's funding. Critics doubted the girl's potential. Naruko faced pressure. When would he eliminate her obstacle? Lying calm, Naruko delayed action, claiming timing was crucial. Beside him, trust began to tremble. He smirked beneath her glare, whispering confidently 3 more days would seal the entire operation. Despite her doubts, Naruko vowed silently regardless of appearances. He always followed through on promises. Madame's demand grew darker. She insisted Shari be removed from inheritance, one way or another. With chilling indifference, she hinted at Shari's death. Removing her was simply a business decision. Far from those threats, Gero and Shari quietly attended lectures, pretending their lives were normal. Despite his violent past, Gero found rare peace beside Shari, who embraced campus life fully. As the professor called on her, Shari froze, suddenly part of a world she longed for. Gero's answer impressed the professor, revealing his hidden knowledge of rare products and market value. Outside the classroom, Naruko sensed a shift movement hinted that someone was watching the lecture unfold. The professor praised the class, visibly moved by their passion, hinting it was time to retire. Without warning, the room exploded into chaos, an attack timed perfectly with the teacher's emotional farewell. He realized too late the attackers struck now because he refused to leave Shari's side. Poison symptoms spread among students. Garo quickly deduced the assailant wasn't inside the lecture hall. Searching for the sniper, Garo scanned the building's exterior, but every predicted angle was clear. Suddenly, bolts loosened above the ceiling structure began collapsing toward Shari's position, without warning. Without hesitation, Garo shielded the girls, hurling them clear as debris rained across the classroom. Surveying the rubble, he recognized the tactic: a wide-range strike meant to paralyze an entire room. Garo ruled out gas. The room's ventilation was excellent. Something else had triggered the symptom. Picturing the rooftop, he suspected a sonic mechanism, waves timed to strike from outside the building. Naruko analyzed Garo's unnatural recovery. Only an elite expert could resist effects that severe. Both men reached the same conclusion simultaneously: the culprits were a poison master and a sound master. Unexpectedly, the students began feeling better, signs of an antidote or healing countermeasure spreading quickly. And Garo explained the setup. The screws were loosened beforehand to mimic a tragic accident. Realizing the danger was real, Shari clutched the camping flyer, unsure if she could attend. Her uncle's response was swift: she could go, as long as precautions were firmly in place. He encouraged her to grow stronger socially, trusting his guards to protect her without fail. With worry lifted, Shari's face lit up. Hope returned as joy replaced uncertainty at last. Shari packed for the trip, waving goodbye to her uncle as her friends waited outside. Behind his smile, her uncle's twisted eyes betrayed a darker motive cloaked in false concern. The bus sped along the highway, filled with students and guards unaware of what awaited. On board, Garo debated the risks. Nowhere was truly safe, but staying hidden had only delayed confrontation. As Shari rested beside him, Naruko revealed a message inked on his arm: "One more day." Naruko smiled knowingly, his message a personal reminder tied to a deeper, undisclosed strategy. Girls swarmed the aisle in admiration while Garo grimaced, silently enduring Naruko's overwhelming popularity again. A sudden crowd gathered near the training compound, drawn by the scent of roasted meat. Skewers hissed over charcoal. Amazed trainees questioned how cheap meat transformed into mouth-watering perfection. While flames rose higher, Garo and his partner calmly flipped each skewer with unmatched precision and control. Cheers erupted from the onlookers, their eyes wide as flavor surpassed every expectation and memory combined. Confidence surged in Garo's chest. This wasn't just cooking, it was his weapon for connection. Pressure mounted as Garo diced ingredients, aware the soundmaster could strike without warning any time. Instinct took over. He shifted positions rapidly, positioning every skewer precisely, maintaining perfect symmetry across the grill. Despite the smiles around him, his thoughts lingered on danger hidden beneath the camp's quiet. Elsewhere, Shiroi stood discouraged, her noodles untouched, unsure how to contribute or gain acceptance here. Behind the mask of curiosity, she quietly calculated every detail, seeking a way to belong. Unable to speak up directly, she decided to capture attention through performance instead. With unexpected confidence, she returned in costume, singing cheerfully, waving a wand, determined to serve with flair. Gasps echoed as her noodles appeared dramatically, leaving everyone stunned by the dish's bold, sudden reveal. Counted movements followed, each plate spun, flipped and landed gracefully, as her playful chant continued confidently. What began as a stunt won hearts. Soon she stood surrounded, praised for magic and flavor. Shiroi's eyes sparkled with hope, energized by the cheers and warmth surrounding her efforts. With pounding heart, she prepared one last surprise, declaring her act and building tension with theatrical charm. However, the noodles fell on her instead, turning a magic moment into an embarrassing but endearing accident. Though flustered, she learned her performance became a highlight. People appreciated her bravery more than perfection. Genuinely smiling, she thanked Garo, grateful for his quiet support that sparked her courage to shine. Oshima observed quietly, noting that Shiroi might be the unexpected partner Garo never saw coming. Later that evening, Garo surprised everyone by holding his own effortlessly among loud, energetic extroverts. A drunken classmate broke the tension, retelling a local legend about sacrifice and the curse of Lord Chledny. According to the story, villagers used to seal babies in a shrine to appease vengeful gods. The temple once echoed with infant cries, left behind by robed figures performing the old village ritual. A dark figure raised a marked talisman. The infant screamed, sensing something was deeply wrong. Although the war had ended, halting rituals, disasters like landslides and fires soon ravaged the village. Most villagers vanished over time, yet tales claim Lord Tredney still demands a sacrifice to return. The storyteller pointed dramatically, claiming one among them had been chosen as the next ritual offering. Shaken by the accusation, Shiwari panicked, while Gero remained silent, clearly unimpressed by the absurd claim. As night fell, the group gathered for a courage test, unaware something eerie had already begun. Strange vibrations echoed through the forest, drawing attention toward the shrine hidden deep among the trees. Suddenly, Naruko emerged barefoot, confident, his movements slicing through air like a silent, elegant performance in motion. With a slight smile, he closed his eyes, resonating with invisible energy vibrating between every tree. Strings stretched across trunks, humming in harmony as he declared full connection with the entire forest. Naruko locked eyes with Shiwari, declaring her the target, his vibrations intensifying through the forest air. The host announced a thrilling challenge: teams must reach the eerie temple hidden across the mountain trail. Instead of reaching the temple, students were tasked to stop midway and pose at a cutout. As the forest darkened, Jiro walked beside Shiori, their footsteps quiet under buzzing insects and rustling leaves. While others joked around, Jiro wrestled with nerves, realizing this might be his only romantic opportunity. Suddenly, Shiori shouted a flustered thanks, her blushing face revealing a rare, heartfelt crack in her defenses. Shiori lowered her gaze, feeling guilty, convinced her presence only complicated Jiro's already difficult mission. Instead of blaming her, he calmly encouraged her to enjoy the trip without carrying an unnecessary guilt. He reminded her that rare experiences shouldn't be wasted, even when danger quietly lingers in the shadows. As they neared the cutout board, he smiled, gently stating that her safety was his reason. Finally relaxed, she grabbed the phone, took the picture, and smiled brighter than she had before. A strange pattern appeared on the figure in the photo, something unnatural, not part of the prop. Shiori's heart raced as she realized Jiro had vanished, leaving only silence and creeping shadows behind. Calling his name repeatedly, she sprinted into the forest, determined to track him down immediately. Before she could react, a monstrous shape with the same cursed markings suddenly lunged straight toward her. She barely escaped into the nearby shrine, slamming the door shut behind her, trembling and gasping hard. Inside the shrine, Shiori was stunned to see a familiar face, someone she never expected again. As disbelief struck, she collapsed, realizing the man pouring a drink was her long-deceased father. He explained calmly that she'd entered the space between life and death, chosen as an offering. Tears welled in her eyes as she questioned his decision to drag her into the legacy. With regret erupting, her father confessed he was wrong. His choice to involve her had been a mistake. Twisted words tore into her resolve as her father's expression warped into something cruel and accusing. A smile formed behind the mask, telling her she'd never escape weakness no matter what. Visions surrounded her, whispering she'd failed everyone, that surrendering was easier than carrying expectations any longer. Tempted by the silence of peace, she reached toward the noose, drowning in unbearable pressure. But memories of those who still cared flooded back, igniting something stronger than pain or despair. Shiori shouted with fire in her chest, rejecting despair and embracing her role in full. While admitting her uncertainty, she still stood firm, choosing to act despite her lingering self-doubt. Her voice rose with defiance. This battle wasn't over, and she refused to back down now. Suddenly, the scenery shifted. Her next step led off the shrine, plunging her toward the cliffside. Falling fast, she scrambled for a plan, eyes darting through memories, desperately searching for something useful. She desperately opened her umbrella mid-air, hoping it would slow her fall, but it started breaking. As the ground rushed up, panic surged. She couldn't let everyone's efforts end in her death. Before impact, Giro launched forward with perfect timing, reaching out as she fell straight toward him. He caught her mid-drop, shielding her with his body as they slammed into the earth. Smiling through pain, he explained their landing survived, thanks to the water-absorbing polymer from the event. While recovering, Giro revealed the enemy's strategy: staged suicide to eliminate suspicion and claim her inheritance. From the shattered cliff, it became clear this deadly trap had been carefully constructed and methodically executed. The one responsible, Naruko, master of sound, descended calmly, revealing himself as the mastermind behind Chladni's legend. As the three stood face to face, a quiet tension grew, vibrating with unspoken threats and calculation. Tension thickens as Naruko descends alone, declaring a challenge. Jiro and Shiori brace themselves silently. Analyzing Naruko's earlier attack, Jiro explains how illusions and shockwaves cleverly separated them without warning. Naruko crouches before Shiori, amused by her resistance, while Shiori remains trapped behind in silence. A sinister smirk forms. Naruko's excitement grows, knowing control has shifted completely in his favor. Jiro lunges with precision, his voice remains calm, promising to finish things cleanly without disrupting their code. With the forest trembling behind them, Jiro urgently calls Shiori to flee before danger escalates further. Paralyzed by fear, Shiori collapses. Jiro kneels, offering support despite the strain etched on him. Held tightly in his arms, Shiori shifts awkwardly. Jiro questions the pose but says nothing. They press forward with haste. Jiro injects himself mid-run, boosting focus while shielding her tightly. Voices echo through the forest. As enhanced instincts awaken, their surroundings bend under mind whisper. Haunted by relentless whispers, Shiori panics. Jiro charges forward, sensing the attack targets their mind. Jiro deduces it's not physical, some kind of psychological assault distorting their thoughts with intrusive voices. Naruko, lounging calmly, controls the entire mountain. His mind whisper traps them within an invisible cage. Realizing sound is the weapon, Shiori urgently rummages through her bag for anything to counter it. With matching cat ear headphones on, they block the noise, finally able to speak clearly through the chaos. Naruko mocks their cat ear defense. Sound blades begin forming, aiming directly for Jiro mid-sprint. With immense force, a sound wave strikes. Jiro spirals violently, still shielding Shiori during impact. Ignoring distractions, he tunes into physical sensations. Silence replaced by raw instinct sharpens his focus, activating the toxin. Jiro's enhanced body launches into a spinning assault, his signature move, Lunar Pike. He remains unshaken. Jiro was never the real target, his attention shifts elsewhere, without hesitation. Jiro realizes Naruko's true target isn't him. The sound signal is invading Shiori's mind. Visions intensify. Personal traumas surface rapidly as Naruko manipulates her memories to force emotional collapse. Entranced by illusion, Shiori wanders away. Jiro chases, but she no longer hears his voice. In the clearing, a muscular figure blocks her path, her imagined uncle now distorted and towering. The hallucination speaks cruel truths. Emotional wounds reopen as Naruko uses guilt and rejection to shatter her. Naruko's words are cut off. Jiro strikes hard, interrupting the illusion with a fierce blow. He explains the truth. Her uncle tried, failed, and eventually found Jiro through blind persistence. A long-winded review convinced him. Only then did trust form, placing Shiori's safety in Jiro's hands. Jiro challenges her doubt. If she was worthless, no one would have tried that hard. Tears fall, but clarity returns. Shiori smiles through the pain, finally stepping forward on her own. Then he sedates Shiori to spare her. He challenges Naruko, knowing he's still listening nearby. Naruko's technique manipulates hidden emotions, pulling subconscious pain forward and amplifying it through sound transmission. Despite past trauma, Shiori's effort matters. Naruko didn't create her weakness, he just worsened existing fears. Flashes of her growth prove resilient. Jiro sees she's not broken, she's fighting through every step. With Shiori unconscious in his arms, Jiro swears to shield her from further manipulation. Kinasaki spotted Jiro arriving with Shiroi in his arms, leaping over the wall unexpectedly. Despite exhaustion, Jiro insisted he was fine. Kinasaki tracked him down using GPS earlier installed. With urgency, Jiro told Kinasaki to flee the village, planning to confront Naruko himself alone. Trusting her resolve, Jiro solemnly entrusted Shiroi's safety to Kinasaki before stepping away into danger. Although reluctant, Kinasaki agreed to help on one condition: he owed her an expensive sushi meal. Jiro discovered a hidden speaker planted near them, meant to spread illusions and control minds. Realizing the enemy's remote tactics, he decided to force him into open combat immediately. Naruko assessed his options carefully, aiming to eliminate Jiro first before targeting Shiroi slowly. With sharpened focus and full strength, Naruko emerged from water, prepared for the final confrontation. As psychic attacks intensified, Jiro braced himself, fully aware Naruko intended to end this fight. Naruko analyzed the battlefield calmly, certain Jiro's poison and needles wouldn't reach from afar. With speed and force, Jiro launched his attack using chemicals, while avoiding Naruko's slicing illusions. To his surprise, vibrating wires repelled everything. Naruko had weaponized sound frequency to neutralize chemical attacks. Wires surrounding Jiro resonated ominously, forming a perfect trap designed to restrict every movement instantly. From within the trap, Naruto unleashed his ultimate form Grand Actor, a towering, overwhelming final weapon. Gero locked eyes with the monstrous form, his nerves surging under the crushing pressure ahead. A massive blow from Grand Actor hurled Gero through trees, bones cracking from violent impact. While reeling from the hit, he realized the creature was formed from condensed natural vibrations. Naruto mocked Gero's resistance, certain that no effort could overturn the outcome already in motion. Despite everything, Gero clenched his fist, rushing forward with unwavering resolve to strike back harder. Naruto noticed something was wrong. The giant body suddenly halted, its legs frozen mid-motion inexplicably. Confused by the sudden failure, Naruto panicked as he was flung violently across the battlefield. Searching for answers, Naruto inspected the trees and wires. Nothing seemed poisoned, cut, or physically damaged. Emerging calmly, Gero revealed the true trick: his medicine enhanced tree growth, disrupting wire formations completely. He exposed Naruto's fatal weakness: the wires required precise tuning, which failed once the trees shifted. Then Naruto warned that emotional unrest lay dormant in everyone, and he knew exactly how to trigger it. Twisting his smile with malice, Naruto revealed his power came from amplifying fear and insecurity. Back at the camp, students rushed in panic, alerting others to an emergency up ahead. Upon arrival, they found the only escape route blocked, leaving the group stranded. Worsening the crisis, the bus was halted. Fear spread as people debated what to do next. A terrifying vibration reawakened the dormant creature, sending shock through every student watching in silence. Panic erupted among the group. Many screamed, believing they'd angered a cursed force called Chladni. One student, overcome by delusion, demanded they offer the youngest as a traditional sacrifice. Meanwhile, Naruto revealed his true intent. Shirai remained his target, even during the entire confrontation. When students compared birth dates, Shirai's was last March 31st, marking her the youngest and most vulnerable victim. Gero rushed downhill carrying the injured girl, dodging pursuers while chaos erupted across the battlefield. Hidden behind the trees, he faced Naruto, who demanded intervention before more lives were destroyed. Without hesitation, Gero raised his hand to challenge Naruto, who summoned a serpent in response. Naruto gracefully carved wood with precise strikes, fashioning pieces while his calm demeanor concealed brewing violence. With practiced hands, Naruto completed a violin, his weapon crafted to begin the real performance. Naruto raised his bow and dragged it swiftly, launching a concentrated sound burst without hesitation. Then Gero's senses sharpened as the spinning violin flew past, slicing the air with violent force. Taking advantage of the impact, Naruto closed the distance while Gero stumbled from the distraction. Focused entirely on a hidden objective, Naruto sprinted through the woods with growing confidence and urgency. Breathing heavily behind his mask, Gero regained footing and prepared to strike back without mercy. Despite Naruto's claims, Gero insisted that saving her future wouldn't protect her from deeper suffering. As he ran forward, Gero rejected the idea that fragility meant surrender to a cruel world. Leaping above the trees, Naruto declared that exposing weakness only guaranteed a tragic, inevitable downfall. In his mind, effort and potential meant little. Survival demanded dominance, not hope or hard training. He believed the helpless would always fall, their inner strength too shallow to endure real pain. From behind the trees, Gero faced Naruto's taunt without flinching or slowing his stride. Rather than deny it, he defended Shiro's strength earned through pain, not granted by force. Naruto turned away, dismissing the words and accelerating, claiming their paths would never align again. Deep within the woods, he finally located the rare healing zone he had been seeking. Forest enhanced his power, the phytoncide rich air sharpened his senses, and boosted his musical control. Overwhelmed by the forest's energy, he collapsed with euphoria, completely immersed in the moment's rush. Tears mixed with sweat as raw sensation overtook him, triggering an uncontrollable physical and emotional surge. With his body low and limbs spread, he prepared to unleash his deadliest sonic assault. Breath slowed and focused, he began the activation chant, each note linked to devastating forest-wide resonance. A chilling eye widened in silence, reflecting the rising dread of the storm about to come. Blinding dizziness clouded his vision as his eye dilated, struggling to process the sudden shift. Realization struck: this forest wasn't healing him. It was flooding with a poison mimic gas. Despite the danger, he attempted to purge the toxin, unaware Gero had anticipated this reaction. Before air could escape, a hand struck his face, sealing his breath mid-exhalation. Gero emerged through the mist with precision, cutting off the escape plan without hesitation. Restraining polymer coated his face, while Gero calmly revealed every detail of the calculated setup. Predicting his opponent's needs, Giro turned Naruko's dependency on healing into a tactical opportunity. Creating poisonous phytoncide gas was difficult, but for assassins, adaptation and traps were natural strengths. Naruko was slammed to the ground with force, helpless as Giro closed in unrelentingly. As the phone rang unanswered, Naruko lay defeated, admitting he tricked Giro with one final lie. Fear gripped the village again, and without the missing girl, another child faced sacrifice. Hidden nearby, Shaori learned a forgotten trail could lead them out without facing the mob. Refusing to abandon the others, she declared her intent to return, risking everything for them. She knew escaping alone meant someone else would suffer in her place, a price she rejected. Desperation turned to resolve as she formed a plan to stop the cycle from repeating. Naruko executed his elaborate ruse, trapping students and igniting fear with the legend of Chodni. To stop the terror, students faced two brutal options: endure collapse or offer someone to Chodni. Without hesitation, they injected another student, forcing him to replace Shiroi and face the terror. Shiroi reappeared, transformed into a witch, holding a candle as students prepared to seize her. With a smile, she summoned infernal power, whispering to the flame, "Awaken, demon of flame." Infernal answered her call, erupting from flame. Students froze, overwhelmed by its monstrous fiery presence. With controlled grace, Shiroi launched fire toward them. The crowd stepped back, stunned by her defiance. Calmly facing them, she declared her power real. Her goal: replace fear with focused belief. Using stage tricks and supplies, she crafted illusions. The performance aimed to guide hearts and minds. Encouraged by her friend's trust, Shiroi found courage. Determination solidified she would carry this plan through. Osawa confronted Shiroi, doubting her strength, and accusing her of pretending to fight Chodni. Tensions escalated as Osawa accused her of cowardice, inciting others to turn against her resolve. Shiroi explained her absence, claiming she needed time to gather strength before returning to help. Despite hostility, a teacher demanded results. Pressure mounted as expectations shifted fully onto Shiroi's shoulders. Inside, panic overwhelmed her. Fear, doubt, and guilt surged as she approached with trembling footsteps. A silent grip gave her strength. Shiroi steadied herself, no longer walking this path alone. Standing firm, she reignited Infernal's flame. Her voice carried defiance, stirring uncertainty in the crowd. Quickly, her fingers moved through practiced gestures, releasing controlled magic as energy surged through woven threads. Chodni's flaming beast lunged forward. Shiroi stood her ground, casting the spell with final determination. From afar, two colossal forces materialized. Nature's guardian faced the fire demon in looming silence. A backup plan was set. He'd ignite the hillside once Shiroi gave the signal. While Shiroi faced danger head-on, he unleashed gas across the trees, preparing for coordinated ignition. Illusions alone weren't enough. They needed fire, impact, and a story their minds could believe. As the setup neared completion, Shiroi gave the order to launch the final explosive strike. Flames burst through the forest. The explosion roared, shaking ground and sealing the climactic illusion. The students stared in awe, stunned by what they had just witnessed unfold before them. Smoke rose gently. As silence returned, Shiroi calmly clapped, marking the act's ceremonial conclusion. Relieved and uncertain, she smiled awkwardly, hoping her illusion had convinced everyone of Chodni's defeat. As students began relaxing, Giro confirmed success. Meanwhile, Naruko acknowledged defeat from his resting place. Giro corrected him. Shiroi was the true victor, overcoming fear where strength alone would have failed. Naruko recalled past defeat, crushed by expectations. A brutal lesson taught him weakness invited erasure. Tears fell as Naruko remembered being forced to harm his brother's strength. Never came naturally. Now defeated himself, Naruko questioned Giro's mercy, confused why the killing blow never arrived. Giro reminded him of their mission. Their journey wasn't over. Revenge wasn't the destination. With a calm smile, Giro offered something greater: healing through connection, not violence or pride. Naruko dismissed Giro's advice with sarcasm. Stars overhead marked the end of their confrontation. The campfire glowed warmly. Shiroi's joyful shout welcomed Giro back into the circle of friends. With dramatic flair, Shiro revealed a candy-making kit. Giro collapsed, overwhelmed by the absurd presentation. Despite confusion, Giro admired her spirit. This record-breaking candy marked their strange but healing reunion. Jiro awakened, breathless from nightmares, unsure if the danger had passed or just begun again. The group gathered outdoors, uneasy silence spreading as shared dreams hinted at something disturbingly real beneath. Shiroi smiled brightly, downplaying her powers, though her floating food revealed something deeper than mere tricks. Cheers broke out as helicopters approached. Their time at the facility had officially reached its end. A freed captive saluted Jiro, gratitude clear his survival owed entirely to Jiro's unwavering determination and skill. During the ride, memories blurred. Kinosaki explained she masked everything, leaving only dreamlike impressions behind. Shiroi tried to pat Jiro's head, startling him, her gesture clashing with his awkward upbringing. He froze as both girls praised him, their gratitude revealed the weight he silently carried. Shiroi leaned in, smiling brightly, capturing their bond in a photo he'd never forget again. Laughter filled the air while helicopters lifted. Everyone wanted their turn to thank him properly. Inside the Balzac office, a furious woman learned her hired assassin had completely failed the mission. As frustration boiled, a dark figure approached, laughing maniacally, his presence warping the atmosphere instantly. Confidently, the man balanced on one hand, then unleashed his custom weapon with brutal efficiency. He vowed to eliminate their target alongside his bizarre sidekick, fully committed to violent escalation. Suddenly dominance shifted, an unknown man pinned the killer down, effortlessly silencing him with overwhelming force. Tension gripped the room as Shiroi entered, her presence freezing the surviving woman in fear. Each accomplice had been neutralized, now only the mastermind remained, cornered and stripped of all power. Shiroi dismissed vengeance or money, instead requesting something more meaningful from the shaken enemy before her. She bowed deeply, asking to be taught the job's truths, not for harm, but understanding. With conviction, Shiroi declared her mission to impact lives across the world through meaningful work. Shiroi acknowledged the woman's past efforts, reminding her of a promise made by her father. Faced with emotion and memory, she clenched her fist, realizing what had to be done now. With a steady voice, she asked Shiroi to join her and revive Balzac's spirit. Shiroi smiled and agreed, but only if Jiro and Kinosaki could be part too. While they spoke, Jiro and Kinosaki vanished unnoticed, already moving ahead to prepare what comes next. Kinosaki panicked as Jiro leapt away, realizing he hadn't even exchanged contact with Shiroi. As they soared, Jiro recalled her words and why he couldn't stay by her side. Years surrounded by corruption had shaped his views, but recent bonds revealed people worth trusting again. Hope returned as Jiro accepted the world's potential, no longer blinded by past disillusionment alone. Despite affection, he chose distance, believing Shiroi's strength didn't require his presence to keep shining forward. Kinosaki encouraged Jiro with praise, reflecting on his growth and her hopes for Shiroi. Their conversation was suddenly cut off by the roar of an unexpected approaching motorcycle nearby. Shiroi arrived with dramatic force, bringing both of them to a stunned and complete halt. Breathless but determined, she called out, insisting they still had something left to resolve together. Smiling brightly, she invited them for one more outing, eager to share time again. The team regrouped after a mission, preparing drinks, knowing one final task remained unfinished today. They raised their glasses together, celebrating survival with laughter, united briefly by relief and shared struggle. Everyone began eating in silence. The tension faded as warmth and casual comfort filled the moment. Kinosaki and Jiro observed Shiroi devour food intensely, her exaggerated chewing grabbing their awkward attention immediately. Shiroi nervously brought up a shark show. Confusion and forced small talk settled between the three. Then Kinosaki watched silently as Jiro and Shiroi sat awkwardly, unsure how to continue talking. She grew frustrated, realizing both lacked basic conversation skills and couldn't maintain a natural rhythm together. Though they spoke easily while traveling, now they were distant, struggling to find common ground again. Hoping they'd manage alone, Kinosaki drank quietly but sensed the silence was breaking their connection quickly. Seeing no progress, she stood determined, ready to intervene and force the two to engage. Jiro gathered his courage, stood up, and nervously announced he would perform a new trick. Shiroi cautiously warned him not to ruin things, but deep down she truly wanted to watch. With both girls watching nervously, Jiro approached silently and summoned a flower from thin air. The petals began to float mid-air as the surrounding light dimmed, drawing everyone's full attention. A burst of glowing flowers filled the night sky, surprising them with unexpected beauty and grace. Shiroi and Kinosaki were stunned, their faces lighting up as petals floated gently around them. Jiro explained the trick's true purpose, bringing smiles, not just surprising others with flashy stunts. Inspired by his sincerity, Shiroi stood up boldly, ready to show her own prepared magic. She burst into performance, odd props flying everywhere while Kinosaki watched with quiet amusement from the table. Despite clumsy communication, their shared joy proved stronger. Maybe laughter was their true way of bonding. As the night ended, they exchanged final words while Kinosaki quietly slept nearby, completely exhausted. Shiroi wondered aloud if this farewell was permanent, and Jiro confirmed his mission was finished. She opened up about her ambitions balancing school, work, and everything she still wanted to pursue. With a soft smile, she confessed her hope to explore love someday, eyes filled with sincerity. Jiro froze, overwhelmed by her honesty, realizing something within him had also begun to quietly change. Suddenly a muscular man arrived pulling a rickshaw, shocking both Jiro and Shiroi mid-goodbye. Before leaving, Shiroi thanked Jiro for everything and asked to exchange contact information with him. With a hopeful smile, she expressed her wish to meet him again someday soon. Jiro stood frozen, overwhelmed by her words, unsure how to respond or what to feel. She quietly turned away, boarding the rickshaw, while Jiro silently watched her fade into distance. While riding away, Shiroi tightly held her hood, overwhelmed by emotion she couldn't easily explain. She regretted not asking directly, heart racing with thoughts of missed chances and awkward delivery. Meanwhile, Jiro stared at his phone, confused whether the contact exchange truly meant something deeper. Kinosaki reassured him with a wink, reminding that strong relationships aren't built in a day. Trying to look casual, Jiro claimed he had plans, prompting suspicion from Kinosaki's piercing stare. A butterfly-shaped invitation rested on Jiro's hand, marking the wedding of a longtime trusted friend. Toshiki Hunamaki, a masked assassin and bug user, was once Geiro's loyal comrade. Upon hearing Toshiki's marriage news, Kinosaki is surprised, then receives an unexpected invitation herself. A butterfly delivers a heartfelt message. Toshiki formally invites Kinosaki to attend as Geiro's companion. While Kinosaki processes the gentleman's gesture, Geiro quietly asks her for a personal favor. He wishes to dress appropriately, wanting to honor his friend's wedding with respect and care. Kinosaki eagerly agrees to help, seeing a chance to shop and encourage Geiro's growth. They arrive at a cliffside venue filled with butterflies, surrounded by whimsical wedding decorations inside. Despite its strange guests and insect theme, the ceremony feels more surreal than either had expected. Suddenly, a sharply dressed attacker strikes with deadly precision, aiming directly at Kinosaki without hesitation. Geiro takes the full blow, his face pierced by countless needles, collapsing from the brutal ambush. She panics seeing Geiro collapse, but he rises slowly, revealing he somehow survived the attack. The needle user named Tsunagi stabilizes Geiro's condition and casually offers Kinosaki a large bill. Tsunagi, introduced as another specialist, explains his connection to the group as a needle-based fighter. Despite his combat abilities, Tsunagi's personality shifts entirely when reuniting with his three playful children. After observing Tsunagi's fatherly side, Kinosaki realizes he's been helping guide the chief's marriage plans. Guests look upward in awe as the groom descends dramatically on butterfly wings to give thanks. Toshiki proudly lifts his bride, Ena Kawakita, formally announcing their union before friends and allies. As applause fills the hall, Geiro reflects silently on deeper underworld ambitions stirring beneath. While others celebrate, he listens to a fallen man's plea for criminal syndicate collaboration. Meeting with Toshiki later, Geiro reveals a warning about growing threats hidden within their network. Then Geiro warns Toshiki not to expect favors simply from their alliance or personal connection. Toshiki diffuses the tension, revealing he only wanted to share a quiet drink together. In a moment of calm, Toshiki addresses Geiro directly, calling him by full name. Despite the intensity earlier, he pours juice for Geiro, respecting his age with surprising sincerity. She watches happily, reminding Geiro that even assassins can find love in unexpected places. During a past climb, Toshiki rescued Ena from danger, using spiders to guide their descent. Now standing proudly together, they begin the vows under fluttering butterflies and curious insect companions. Two bees carry the rings as everyone watches, witnessing the ceremony's most symbolic exchange. Carefully, they slide the rings onto each other's fingers while friends observe in quiet awe. Tears mix with laughter as they embrace, sealing the moment with warmth and shared joy. As the vows proceed, Geiro turns to Kinosaki, quietly wondering if love is possible. The wedding continues, with everyone witnessing the ceremony that symbolizes strength, struggle, and chosen bond. Kinosaki smiles, assuring him that success is possible, especially with support from someone who believes. Seeing the joyful couple exit together, Geiro reflects on their journey and wishes them well. From a nearby cliff, a bitter figure watches with envy, unable to accept their happiness. A sudden tension struck Geiro's face, as his sharp gaze caught something alarming behind them. A mountain wedding venue hosted Jiro and Kinosaki, whose love began through shared camping escapes. While Kinosaki devoured her favorite steak, Jiro sensed unease crawling along his shoulder blade quietly. Without hesitation, he leapt from the chair, urgently alerting Kinosaki to the spider's sudden appearance. As Jiro sprinted away, he entrusted Julia Jr., his spider ally, with guarding the event. Smiling softly, he delayed his next task. Today wasn't about danger, it was Jiro's wedding. Orders were clear: invade the wedding, kill without mercy, and earn blood-soaked money bonuses. During chaos, they'd plant explosives on the bride and quietly vanish before specialists joined combat. He smiled wickedly, dreaming of flames consuming her, forever remembering her final crimson-colored scream. Sudden footsteps echoed behind him, slow and deliberate, marking the entrance of an unexpected threat. Jiro stood unfazed beneath webbed corpses, his enemies neutralized before they'd even fired a shot. He remained silent as the enemy shifted tactics, launching missiles to destroy everything at once. Explosions surrounded him, but he stood firm while the battlefield reshaped into a booming labyrinth. Infuriated, the villain redirected his wrath toward Jiro, blaming him for ruining everything he cherished. Before this, Masahide Yamada's life was empty, buried in trash, debt, and emotional disconnection from society. Transformed through underground surgery, explosives wired his body, turning him into an emotionless weapon for crime. Trained for suicide combat, Yamada mastered Nova Starstrike, a move fueled by self-destruction. He delivered explosive blows with glee, laughing manically, ready to die if the mission failed. For the first time, destruction gave him meaning. Nova Starstrike awakened his long-dormant emotions. Then came the masked man, whose presence silenced even chaos, shifting everything Yamada thought he knew. Without hesitation, the stranger crushed him effortlessly, ending the frenzy with silent, overwhelming force. Yamada sat dazed against the wall as the masked man unexpectedly embraced him tightly. Suddenly realizing an opportunity, he prepared to detonate his head and kill them both instantly. He bit down hard, but the detonation failed. His implanted bomb had already been disabled. The masked man calmly assured him his death mission was over. It no longer defined him. For the first time, Yamada stared upward, eyes wide, unsure what living truly meant now. Then Yamada watched the masked man walk away, powerless to stand, crawling weakly across broken tiles. Consumed by rage, the enemy swore revenge for having his ambition crushed before it began. Every limb and upgrade earned through hardship fueled his obsessive hatred for the man responsible. He prepared for departure, hidden in a cocooned escape pod, casually requesting sushi for later. Approaching silently, Garo dismissed his grudge. With indifference, he reminded him no one resents a bug user. With calm authority, Garo dismissed the intruder, ending the chaos before the wedding resumed peacefully. Meanwhile, Kinosaki smiled on stage, vowing to demand expensive sushi after surviving the entire ridiculous ordeal. Rain replaced the sunset as guests gathered inside, unaware of the storm quietly building elsewhere. Applause fell silent when Mei Kinosaki nervously stepped forward, announcing Hikaru Garo as the absent speaker. She explained his sudden sickness, unfolding a letter he wrote, while hidden eyes watched from the crowd. At that moment, Garo crashed into a warehouse, clashing violently with a hostile ambusher mid-rainfall. His enemy lunged, revealing mechanical arms and intimate knowledge of Garo's bloodline, challenging him to use his strength. Garo stared coldly at his enemy, refusing to waste his trump card on someone unworthy. Back at the wedding, Mei stood before the guests, delivering heartfelt words with growing nervous energy. She admitted her own longing for marriage, causing Tosheki to silently reflect beneath his scarred expression. Meanwhile, Garo countered a devastating strike with precision, his resolve hardening despite the mounting exhaustion. Even as he fell, he recalled his purpose, seeking a partner worth his future and fight. She words touched Tosheki deeply, revealing that her courage stemmed from his past kindness. Garo remembered Tosheki's silent guidance, recalling the umbrella offered during his loneliest, rain-soaked childhood moment. Without Tosheki's presence, he would have remained lost, buried under regret and unable to climb from despair. Using spider thread momentum, Garo launched himself like a missile, shocking his enemy with the improvised attack. With full force descending from above, he prepared a final strike shaped by everything Tosheki gave. Caught midair by the web around his ankle, the enemy tumbled before recovering his stance. While Kunosaki honored Tosheki's kindness aloud, Garo launched upward again, aiming to finish what he started. Struggling through the impact, the masked fighter failed to grasp the weight behind Garo's unwavering determination. Determined not to taint the celebration, Gero warned them no blood would spill during Kunosaki's speech. From above, a new figure descended, grinning as he announced plans to unleash his sealed strength. With terrifying speed, the masked fighter surged forward, unleashing his strength in a full-power charge. Boosted by fury, he rocketed skyward, yelling at Gero, his hatred sharpened by long-standing resentment. Tosheki watched silently from afar, eyes weary, as Kunosaki continued her speech, unaware of the threat. Suddenly, a long-buried memory resurfaced in his mind, stirring feelings he'd suppressed since Gero was young. Facing the truth, he admitted defeat. His opponent belonged to a world of shadows he could never tame. Unable to comprehend compassion from an enemy, the man flew forward, haunted by unexpected mercy. Frustration surged through him, yet regret clung tighter as his choice led towards something irreversible. As Kunosaki's speech echoed gently inside, the enemy launched upward, offering final words beneath crashing thunder. A sudden burst of light broke through the clouds, as memories collided with peaceful acceptance. Watching the sky in silence, Anna and Tosheki realized everything had begun from that single meeting. Kunosaki concluded her speech to warm applause, as guests silently reflected on the words shared. He clapped gently while exchanging a faint, grateful smile with Kunosaki, her sincerity reaching him deeply. At someone's urging, she turned to the window, prompting the entire hall to shift their gaze. Outside, Gero sat alone, watching from above, quietly acknowledging Tosheki, as their eyes met across distance. As the sun broke through the rain, Tosheki and Anna shared peace, their story finally beginning together. Laughter filled the hall as Kunosaki received quiet thanks for supporting Gero's difficult search effort. Memories of Gero's troubled past surfaced. He had always found someone patiently standing by his side, crossing family lines, attending the wedding, and forming friendship, all things he never believed were possible. Confusion surfaced. Wasn't their bond simply between fellow specialists, without all that hierarchy nonsense involved? Poison-wielding clans held ancient rules. Their sub-branches carried deadly legacies passed down through generations of specialists. Laughter filled the hall as Kunosaki received quiet thanks for supporting Gero's difficult search effort. Memories of Gero's troubled past surfaced. He had always found someone patiently standing by his side, crossing family lines, attending the wedding, and forming friendship, all things he never believed were possible. Confusion surfaced. Wasn't their bond simply between fellow specialists, without all that hierarchy nonsense involved? Poison-wielding clans held ancient rules. Their sub-branches carried deadly legacies passed down through generations of specialists. Tension surged as the masked men approached the chamber, heartbeats echoing with every hallway step. Without protest, one man bowed deeply until a calm voice granted permission to raise his head. Two robed figures entered with silent authority, their presence signaling the beginning of something important. A single glance sparked visible fear. Eyes widened as recognition crashed against disciplined composure. Gero, recently chosen as heir, stood before him, yet awe was far from the reaction. Something about Gero felt different, not fearsome or regal, but quietly unsettling in its restraint. Despite receiving praise, the scarred man could only bow, trembling beneath the weight of tradition. Without hesitation, his superior offered him up, degrading him with words sharp as blades. Steps echoed as the heir approached, silent judgment hanging in the air like a blade. Instead of disdain, Gero's calm gaze dismissed cruelty. He saw no worm, only a loyal man. Everyone feared Gero, but his quiet steps revealed no desire to command or dominate. Behind his status and reputation, he was still just a normal guy in truth. Warmth beneath scars and loyalty, he saw only a kind man who never wavered. Celebrations followed the announcement, but humor softened tension as friends and allies shared disbelief and laughter. Even among clans with twisted traditions, the Gero family's legacy remained the most burdensome of all. In a quiet plea, Kunosaki bowed, asking them to help Gero find true happiness. They knew it wouldn't be easy. Gero struggled deeply whenever women were involved at all. With a sincere smile, she vowed to find someone who could love him forever. Moments later, Gero returned, confused by how quickly bonds formed while he had stepped away. Under moonlight, farewells were exchanged, as one union began and another quietly hoped to bloom. Under the night sky, friends and family watched the couple soar, celebrating love's rare victory. Far from the joyous scene, a new figure stood quietly, weapon in hand, awaiting orders. Insect surveillance fed data to a hidden observer, who analyzed the target with cold precision. With barely any effort, the attacker overpowered his opponent, gathering intelligence mid-call without breaking focus. Gero's name lit the screen. He had just been marked as the next intended target. Gero followed Kunosaki through the crowded arcade, unsure why Crane Games needed deep insight. Kunosaki broke down strategy, analyzed machine type, arm strength, and prize layout before making a move. She emphasized determination, declaring that each attempt was a battle one challenger facing an unforgiving arcade. Despite losing 10,000 yen, Garo endured her lesson, pick battles wisely, and avoid deceptive traps. He stepped away from cranes, eyeing simpler games, confident he could earn points another way. With focused rage, Garo hammered the eels relentlessly, earning the arcade's highest score with ease. Despite his achievements, skepticism lingered. His confidence wasn't enough to impress the crowd or win hearts. Then Kinasaki, unfazed by doubts, pulled Garo toward photo booths, shifting gears from games to connection. As they reviewed photos, she calmly revealed troubling news: an assassin hunter had begun targeting their own. Known killers were falling quickly, their names crossed out by someone skilled, silent, and terrifyingly efficient. Warnings about elite assassins echoed as the threat level rose beyond anything they'd faced before. Doubt crept in, but one glance from her silenced complaints better than any lecture could. Memories mattered more than success. Enjoying moments together outweighed arcade wins or lost coins. While reflecting on her words, he realized sincerity carried more weight than forced enthusiasm ever could. In the printed photo, joy beamed from both proof they truly shared the moment. A sudden stomp halted their steps, drawing everyone's attention toward the shadowed figure approaching fast. Unfazed by the silence, the woman confronted Garo directly, demanding a serious and immediate conversation. Before explanations could unfold, he intercepted her, clearly intent on managing the situation his own way. Instead of confrontation, her unexpected request to join the moment shifted the mood toward uneasy curiosity. With a teasing smile, Arashiyama hinted at deeper motives, revealing she'd been planning something all along. Feigning pride, she declared her presence a rare miracle, flaunting their photos with exaggerated confidence. Displeased by her antics, the pair turned to leave, ignoring her increasingly desperate pleas. Back at the table, her apology came quietly as they scolded her breach of trust. With tension fading, she revealed a troubling rumor someone might be targeting Garo for assassination. Instead of fleeing danger, she offered herself as bait, claiming protection was now Garo's responsibility. Rather than walk away, Garo chose to listen, sensing sincerity behind Arashiyama's desperate offer. Logic followed emotion. If Arashiyama needed strangers, the situation clearly exceeded what she could handle alone. Looking her in the eye, he pressed gently, expecting honesty in return for his attention. Her eyes widened in shock as he suddenly caught her mid-collapse without hesitation or complaint. In that moment, fear gave way to awe. His kindness shattered the wall built by terror. Tears welled as Arashiyama realized Garo's kindness extended far beyond her expectations or status. Concern grew on his face while she stirred awake, slowly regaining strength in his arms. Without hesitation, she clung to him dramatically, drawing gasps from nearby onlookers in the cafe. Blushing in disbelief, he froze as she leaned in, fully embracing the absurd moment she created. With sudden bravado, Arashiyama shouted a challenge, declaring herself untouchable under the Garo heir's unwitting protection. Laughter burst from Arashiyama, confident in her victory, despite Garo's hesitance to give a clear answer. A mysterious woman named Arashiyama confidently approached Garo's table, declaring herself a rare specialist. Without warning, she puckered her lips, sending dozens of air kisses in every direction around them. From the table's edge, a tiny hamster emerged, stunning Garo and Kanasaki with its entrance. Arashiyama smiled proudly, introducing herself as a hamster user, her partner Sirius sitting calmly in hand. Tracking enemies and gathering intel became effortless, all thanks to Sirius, her adorable yet capable surveillance companion. Among the Beast Clan's sub-branches, Garo's skills leaned toward stealth, traps, and calculated assassination work. Though he claimed specialization, Kanasaki found it hard to believe that was truly his only strength. Her troubled lineage placed her at odds with a pack relentlessly hunting down every skilled hunter. Support from her own kind was no longer an option. Trust had long since been lost. Their strength faded across generations. Once mighty mouse users now faced irrelevance, barely clinging to recognition. Despite her role, Arashiyama had never killed her. Only tie to the clan was symbolic. Even when attending pack meetings, she arrived excluded, decisions made without her input every single time. Insults were blunt. Others claimed she lacked not only experience but the ability to kill altogether. To them, her value amounted to nothing more than expendable fodder, undeserving of true recognition. Opening up at last, she confessed her regrets and gratitude for being heard by someone. Despite her doubts, Arashiyama offered her service at a low cost, surprising them completely. Kanasaki and Garo exchanged uncertain glances, Unsure whether the decision had been made too quickly, a serious tone settled as Gero confirmed her danger, recognizing the threat she truly faced. Reflecting quietly, Kanasaki acknowledged how much Gero had grown since their journey together first began. Without hesitation, Arashiyama leapt forward, embracing Gero with unexpected force, catching everyone off guard instantly. Overwhelmed by affection, Arashiyama broke into tears while Gero froze, unsure how to respond properly. The next mission began, immediately introducing Gero and Kanasaki to the rest of the notorious beast pack. They arrived at a closed rooftop zoo, Arashiyama leading the way with determined, upbeat energy. Inside, she listed each member: Shibaseki the hippo user, Chojobaru the owl user, and Ryoma. Alongside them stood Hamawaki, Horita, and Kinkaji users of alligator, buffalo and orca beasts respectively. From a distance, the rooftop appeared calm, each beast paired with its master, seemingly resting peacefully. Confusion turned to horror when they realized the beast users weren't sleeping. They had all been killed. A staggering survivor emerged, prompting urgent questions about his identity and the carnage he witnessed. Alarm surged as Gero suddenly shouted, sensing imminent danger and urging everyone to escape immediately. Someone lunged forward with deadly intent, their hand drawing fast, leaving no time for hesitation. The attacker's knife found its mark, drawing blood before anyone could properly react or escape. Turning swiftly, Gero retaliated with force, shielding others as the assailant's blade dug into his side. His opponent casually mocked the situation, failing to recognize the full threat standing before him now. Sweat dripped from both fighters. Gero stared down the killer, ready to settle this without hesitation. Shock rippled through the rooftop crowd as the man silently drove a blade into Gero. Despite the pain, Gero urged the two girls to escape before things turned catastrophic. Clutching his wound, he analyzed the injury, deep but survivable, buying time for the others to run. Recognizing the attacker's reputation, Gero confronted him directly, demanding to know his ultimate objective. Without hesitation, the hitman leapt across rooftops, moving impossibly fast, clearly no ordinary human at all. Determined not to lose him, Gero dashed across rooftops, forcing his body past exhaustion. Bleeding and cornered, he realized escape was impossible. Facing the assassin directly became his only option. Injecting dual toxins, he unleashed a sudden burst. Speed, vision, and strength surged in perfect sync. That gamble worked. One violent impact hurled the enemy backward, buying him a fleeting moment of control. Memories scattered like debris in his fading mind as he collapsed beneath the towering street sign. Gripping a chemical bottle, Gero unleashed a burst of cleaning agent to obscure the enemy's sight. Disoriented by the unexpected spray, the hitman stumbled backward as bricks rained down around him. Without hesitation, Gero tackled him to the ground, trying to end the fight decisively. Despite his toxins, Gero's reflexes lagged. He couldn't match the assassin's raw physical advantage. Bruised and panting, Gero spotted his target escaping again, disappearing behind another rooftop structure. After checking on the animals, the assassin turned calmly, barely fazed by the rooftop chaos. Curiosity replaced hostility as they questioned each other, unsure if either belonged to a known clan. Claiming normal origins, the assassin confused Gero, who couldn't accept such power, came from ordinary bloodlines. Gero considered the possibility: was this man a mutation, a prodigy beyond generational training and legacy? With no alternatives left, Gero readied a desperate triple dose, risking everything on one last toxin. Concern flickered in the assassin's eyes as he questioned Gero's dangerous, seemingly self-destructive decision. His body reacted violently. The overwhelming strain forced him into a state of complete physical collapse. Weakened beyond control, he understood the damage was irreversible. His final move had gone too far. Though regret lingered, his opponent spoke coldly, declaring consequences had finally caught up to Gero's past. With heavy breath, Gero made one last request, his fading gaze unwavering, but no longer hostile. Despite the pain, Gero pleaded for mercy, not for himself, but to protect the others. An odd vibration pulsed from his coat, revealing something unexpected beneath the blood-stained fabric. Arashiyama stormed forward with fierce conviction, placing herself between Gero and any remaining threat. Her outburst challenged every assumption. Gero wasn't the villain, but someone who risked everything for others. While others stood back, Gero once agreed to protect her, not because of duty but compassion. Moved by loyalty, Arashiyama declared Gero her role model and prepared to defend him without hesitation. Calling forth her enhanced squad, she activated her unique ability, determined to confront whatever threat remained. Arashiyama triggered her genetic technique, unleashing swarming beasts infused with an ancient celestial bloodline upgrade. A translucent constellation-shaped beast formed midair, built entirely from summoned creatures, mimicking Canis Major's pattern. Proud of her dazzling creation, Arashiyama demanded admiration while the others stood silent and overwhelmed. Ignoring the spectacle, the boy approached Gero's collapsed body and casually hoisted him over his shoulder. He calmly explained his actions, stating Gero needed urgent help before his condition became fatal. Gero stirred weakly as Paichi carried him, while disbelief rippled through the group behind them. Lowering Gero gently, Paichi explained his mercy, moved by their loyalty despite standing as enemies moments ago. He admitted he'd simply lost the will to kill, finding their bond reason enough to spare him. As Gero rested, Paichi revealed his mission to destroy the Beast Clan and its bloodline. Warning them of looming danger, he hinted at a deadly plan already set in silent motion. Paichi declared his intent to strike first, hoping to prevent the Beast Clan's next deadly move. Although unsure of their location, he interrogated former associates, criminals, and mercenaries linked to the clan. Everyone he questioned proved useless or dangerous, so he eliminated them, one by one, without hesitation or regret. Gero listened silently as past killers and hired masters were described, each with disturbing motives and histories. Despite everything, Paichi confessed his dream was simple. He just wanted to open a cafe peacefully. Before fulfilling his cafe dream, he believed dangerous people must first be removed from the world. The others reacted with disbelief. Stunned, he'd challenge a powerful family for such a simple ideal. Despite their doubts, Gero began to understand with Paichi's strength that dream might be possible. Instead of fearing him, Gero realized Paichi wasn't a threat to the peaceful world he envisioned. In the quiet that followed, uncertainty remained, but no one questioned Paichi's resolve anymore. Arashiyama jumped to conclusions, demanding confirmation they were all off the hook without punishment. While Paichi questioned Gero, everyone relaxed, relieved the battle had somehow ended in their favor. Gero clarified the 5 great families were just a label, they lacked unity or real alliance. Suspicion turned to Arashiyama, who laughed off her past, claiming every other lead had failed. All she knew was the collar proof of subjugation worn by branch families under the Beast Clan. A sudden sound echoed as Gero froze, eyes locked on something no one expected. Without warning, Arashiyama collapsed to the ground, her summoned beasts scattering across the silent rooftop. Everyone rushed toward her fallen body, but an ominous shadow passed above, breaking their focus. A bat circled in the sky, shrieking madly, signaling danger that hadn't yet revealed itself. Watching the creature closely, they began to realize it wasn't ordinary, it carried a message. Chaos unfolded as the bat screeched above, while everyone panicked over Arashiyama's sudden collapse. No one knew what triggered it, until the snake-shaped collar began to tighten around her. The creature, called the Bonda Constrictor, activated, draining her life with a venomous biological mechanism. She had only 3 days left to live, a control method used to trap disloyal branch. Hovering overhead, the bat mocked them by name, revealing this was all carefully planned in advance. The bat issued a direct challenge, revealing the Beast Clan's location, Dogo Animal Kingdom, their stronghold. Their boat sliced through the harbor waves as an ominous bat trailed silently overhead. Watching, Kanasaki grinned behind the wheel, casually deflecting Gero's suspicion with charm and a practiced explanation. Boasting unrelated skills with ease, she ignored Arashiyama's silence and the tightening grip of urgency. The snake collar's mystery remained unsolved. Gero's resolve hardened, truth must be uncovered, whatever it takes. As the island neared, the target became clear, force answers from the elusive Beastmaster. Arashiyama declared their deal complete, ready to face her family's judgment without further assistance. Despite her confident front, panic cracked through. She knew too well they were walking into danger. Tears welled as she confessed. Gero's life was in danger because of her cursed ties. Refusing to abandon her, Gero stood firm he wouldn't walk away from someone worth protecting. Hearing his words, Arashiyama froze, overwhelmed by his loyalty, shaken to her core with emotion. While Kanasaki smirked, Arashiyama quietly wept, overwhelmed by emotions she could no longer suppress or hide. As they neared the shore, Gero asked Kanasaki to stay behind for her safety. She agreed with a grin, masking worry, reminding him to return alive for their mission. Unpacking the raft, Gero realized the Beast Clan planned to eliminate both him and Arashiyama. A dark shadow emerged beneath the boat, confirming Gero's suspicion. They considered him direct competition now. Tentacles burst from the sea, smashing the deck. Arashiyama was hurled mid-air without warning. An enormous eagle swooped in, catching Arashiyama as the others were flung from the vessel. With chaos below, the beast carried her skyward, while the squid's grip crushed the ship. Gero processed the ambush fast. Eagle, squid, poison dart, he leapt toward Urashiyama without hesitation. Using poison-based agility, Gero dashed across water's surface, determined to intercept and fight back hard. Kanosaki froze as Gero raced forward, and she struck the squid's eye with full force. Together with their ally, they launched a brutal strike, tearing through the squid's flailing limbs. Recalling a video tutorial mid-fight, he apologized, then prepared to cook the creature if needed. He issued one final warning, blade ready, demanding the beast retreat or face sharp consequences. On the shore, a silent figure approached while the squid's eye focused, watching every movement. Gero reached the mountain base, eyes locked on the eagle carrying Urashiyama deeper inland. Determination surged within him. He couldn't afford hesitation now, not with her life in danger. The beast master landed smugly, cradling Urashiyama, amused by Gero's unnatural ability to run on water. A massive squid suddenly crashed onto the deck, destroying everything as panic surged through the group. Hiji, stunned but calm, searched cooking tutorials while gripping his knife, preparing for a bizarre task. Tentacles flew everywhere after his first cuts, leaving the squid briefly stunned and the girl speechless. Following the video's steps, Peachy started removing entrails while chunks of squid thudded around them. The slicing continued cleanly. As the creature weakened, ideas of squid pasta quietly formed in Peachy's mind. A winged mercenary descended, clutching Urashiyama tightly, declaring himself the fastest and demanding the first strike. Gero stayed calm, assessing his opponent's skills and background, quickly realizing this wasn't the real Beastmaster. He questioned the attacker's motives directly, but vague answers and evasions only deepened the surrounding mystery and tension. Greed was the true reason capturing both would grant him wealth, though exact figures remained under contract. Urashiyama spoke weakly, revealing she was bait. Abducting her first had been part of the plan. Gero stood firm as the enemy spoke, justifying his actions as professional despite the kidnapping. He listened quietly, noting how the man exaggerated everything, spinning a long-winded story for his own amusement. The moment turned tense after Gero asked about the Bonda constrictor. His question wasn't well received. As suspicion rose, his instincts screamed danger. He braced himself, watching birds suddenly swarm in from every direction. A brutal attack began. Sharp beaks pierced through skin and clothes, overwhelming Gero before he could react. Despite heavy wounds, Gero activated a syringe, countering the birds before launching himself toward the enemy. He dodged mid-air blades, then closed the gap, aiming straight through the flurry of feathers and dust. Dodging wasn't enough. Gero took a hit. Blood sprayed. Still, he analyzed the attacker's speed and background instantly. Surrounded again, the enemy grinned, thinking victory was his. Birds swarmed as he planned a life-changing blow. Delusions flared. He dreamed of exporting Birdsball to America, believing his bizarre plan would bring him fame. Birds kept circling, but Gero endured the assault, shielding his body and searching for an opening. A crab appeared nearby, unexpectedly crushed. Its blood splattered, signaling the presence of something far more dangerous. From a distance, shadowy observers watched his every move, capturing it inside strange floating glass-like memory spheres. Suddenly, one orb engulfed him whole, his body twisted, absorbed into the surface by unseen, deliberate hands. With twisted delight, the new figure whispered obsession, revealing a dark hunger for Gero's family bloodline. Bayako observed silently as her comrade mused about Gero's defeat, unaware of his deeper resilience. Mocking confidence returned to the Birdmaster, convinced Gero's clever tricks would ultimately backfire against him. The eccentric watcher reveled in suspense, believing the Poison Clan would outmaneuver through deception and calculated patience. After a composed gesture from Bayako, the observer quieted, letting the scene unfold without further interference. Gero, wounded but alert, readied himself. The battle wasn't over, and neither were his strategies. The enemy descended with winged force, sealing all exits and challenging Gero to stand his ground. Without hesitation, Gero activated Flyball Burial, triggering a strange energy beneath the rocky terrain. A violent eruption blasted outward, cloaking the battlefield in a blinding, thick smokescreen of unknown origin. Sensing poison in the air, the enemy retreated briefly, wary of a potential hidden counterattack. Before defenses could reform, Gero launched forward, delivering a decisive blow that shattered the opponent's stance. An observer analyzed Gero's victory, acknowledging unmatched speed yet doubting its value without strategy. Despite the dramatic trap, the real danger came from subtle misdirection planted within the chaos. By triggering panic through scent and pressure, Gero manipulated his opponent's attention with precise timing. Enhanced mobility from toxins allowed Gero to close distance instantly and deliver a critical blow. Standing over the defeated foe, Gero demanded answers, but the target uttered only the main clan. From the enemy's last breath, Gero learns the main clan resides atop the distant mountain. Despite interrogation, the prisoner mocks him, revealing that countless hunters have been dispatched from all branches. While mentioning powerful foes and rumors, the defeated man hints at removing the cursed bond choker. Suddenly, his body contorts unnaturally as Gero watches, unsure if it's panic or something worse. A chilling voice erupts from the man's throat. Someone else is speaking directly through his body. Gero confronts Toshiro Dogo, self-proclaimed king of the Dogo animal kingdom, for critical information. Instead of mocking, Gero states his true goal: marriage, leaving Dogo momentarily confused by the motive. While explaining his wish to find love, Gero shares his plan to help others first. Suddenly, Dogo grips his face as the strange creature shrieks, unleashing something violent and unexpected. His expression distorts as a terrifying transformation begins, signaling something monstrous buried beneath the king's surface. He mocked Gero's emotional choice, revealing he used the woman as bait to lure him. Realizing Gero's attachment, the enemy jeered with confidence, certain it confirmed his theory about Gero's intentions. Lying unconscious nearby, the woman became the center of cruel warnings about bloodline and status. Dogo boasted the Poison Clan's heritage, dismissing her completely, suggesting Gero choose someone with pedigree. Without flinching, Gero rejected every word, disgusted by the arrogance spilling from Dogo's mouth. Toshiro spotted a strange object floating nearby, smirking as if everything was unfolding as planned. Curious passengers on the boat stared in silence, watching the odd device drift closer with purpose. Before anyone could react, the object activated, snatching the girl while the body began transforming violently. A sudden explosion erupted near the battlefield, shaking the ground and sending debris flying into air. Amid the chaos, Birdball launched into action, preparing to strike as Gero braced for combat. The enemy revealed a fusion technique combining avian precision with a spear strike aimed at Gero. Far away, Toshiro whispered about gathering blood, declaring its control as the source of strength. Within his lab, a monstrous figure floated in a tank, proof their twisted evolution had begun. Once feared as a war god, Nagihiko Kushima mastered the spear with deadly ancestral precision. Battle erupted violently as a crazed warrior descended, exulting in the chaos his birds unleashed. From above, his beast rained feathers like missiles. This grotesque evolution redefined warfare and loyalty. Gero staggered, bloodied and stunned, realizing the enemy's technique mimicked extinct spear styles perfectly. Dodging barely in time, he faced the bird spear's blistering speed closing in relentlessly. Through forbidden blood fusion, a new specialist emerged, blending deadly traits into something disturbingly unnatural. Declaring mastery obsolete, the twisted visionary unveiled his future, hybrids surpassing all traditional warrior limits. Inside a crystal prison, Gero faced judgment, cornered, wounded, and mocked by unseen controlling eyes. Despite injuries, Peachy carried Gero away, heart heavy from the cost of his sacrifice. Drenched and breathless, she recalled past training skills once mocked, now saving lives when it mattered. The current swept them far, stranding them on the island's other side, separated from Gero. Dragging the injured Peachy, Kinosaki questioned her misfortune, unaware of the unseen danger watching nearby. Blocking their path, an enormous bear stood upright, silent, firm, wearing a fighter's belt with pride. Shock paralyzed her breath as the beast's shadow loomed, cold eyes fixed directly on them. Without warning, the bear lunged forward, massive claws slicing air, Kinosaki barely able to scream in time. The bear shifted stances rapidly, launching a precise kick with martial grace that stunned Kinosaki silently. Each movement followed cleanly, its massive arms cutting air with unexpected speed and terrifying control. Kinosaki stared wide-eyed, unsure if she had witnessed an attack or a performance meant to impress. A flurry of bear-shaped after-images dazzled her, fluid, rhythmic and undeniably skilled beyond basic mimicry. Before leaving, she glanced back and gasped, this bear wasn't ordinary. It wore a black belt. Kinosaki tried to flee, but the black belt bear demanded her blood with chilling clarity. Elsewhere, the bird spear warrior prepared a final attack, launching an avian weapon toward Gero. Feathers scattered mid-air as Gero calmly stood, while the enemy's momentum faltered unexpectedly mid-swing. The birds collapsed one by one. Panic filled the warrior's face as control slipped away. Gero revealed the truth: his poison had silently spread, disabling the flock before battle even began. Realization struck too late. Gero had baited the birds intentionally, allowing infection through their pecking. He revealed the truth: a muscle-paralyzing poison laced in blood, harmless to him, lethal otherwise. In response, the enemy rallied surviving allies, confident their numbers would overwhelm him through force. Despite confidence, they froze mid-charge. Gero launched forward with decisive speed, gaze sharp and unwavering. His foot crashed down with brutal finality, ending the confrontation in one crushing, unforgiving strike. Inside the crystal spheres, battle memories remained frozen as someone sampled Gero's poisoned blood silently. Watching from afar, the mastermind vowed obsession he desired Gero completely, down to his final drop. The battle ended beside the sea, where the defeated opponent knelt, hands bound behind him. Despite his loss, the bulky fighter swore vengeance, shouting about revenge through another birdball match. Before any rematch could happen, poison spikes violently erupted from his throat, ending the threat instantly. A hidden technique known as Crimson Marriage had activated, mixing bloodlines into a fatal internal war. Staring down at the corpse, Gero murmured coldly he had no pity for the wicked. Mocking his captives, the sadistic man declared everyone around him mere tools for twisted experiments. He revealed a cruel truth: his blood alone could unlock the cursed choker around Arashiyama's neck. Before disappearing, he taunted them further, releasing birds and inviting them into his dangerous clan's territory. Though the enemy fled, he took blood remnants, vowing to extract every drop from Gero next. Despite everything, Arashiyama hesitated, sensing something deeper behind their enemy's cruelty, conflicted by sympathy she couldn't explain. Desperate and shaken, Arashiyama leaned closer, pleading for any way to help the fallen warrior. Gero lowered his eyes, knowing the truth: there was no saving someone who'd bled that much. The dying man whispered broken dreams of glory, clinging to childish hopes of birdball fame. Elsewhere, a stranger snapped awake, heart racing, just as a bear charged with a guttural roar. Without hesitation, he struck the beast down, bloodied blade dripping, as his breath steadied in silence. A lamprey creature latched to his neck, draining blood just before the bear attacked again. Startled by resistance, the wounded beast retreated through the forest, disappearing deeper into the silent woods. Inside the trees, the bear transformed mid-report, revealing its true identity and connection to Toshiro. A mysterious woman emerged from the bear's open back, drenched in fluids. Mission executed without flaw. Back at headquarters, Toshiro mocked the dead with laughter, pleased by how easily things unfolded. Bayako received a living creature as a gift, but declined to play while still on duty. Toshiro grinned manically, clutching vials labeled with Gero and Peachy's blood, key components for his twisted ritual. Gero's blood, strengthened by poison training, could stabilize violent reactions in a Crimson Marriage procedure. Toshiro praised Peachy's rare qualities, boasting how a few sacrifices had secured both vital bloods. With madness in his eyes, an unknown figure snarled a command to destroy their enemies forever. Inside the cave, tensions rose as Gero feared betrayal and Arashiyama anticipated being cast aside. Before he could leave, Arashiyama firmly stopped him, warning he wasn't ready to fight yet. Suddenly, swarms of hamsters rushed in, and Arashiyama playfully overwhelmed Gero to make him rest. Despite his protest, she insisted his body needed recovery, not another reckless move toward danger or revenge. Lying against her lap, Gero finally relented, quietly asking for a chance to contribute something. Then he reflected quietly by the fire, haunted by years of isolation and unfulfilled expectations. His thoughts lingered on past failures, questioning whether strength could have changed outcomes he once avoided. Arashiyama, overwhelmed with guilt and tears, questioned her worth and inability to protect those around her. Left alone with her thoughts, she recalled Gero's past words and his desperate will to help. Gero, finally understanding her strength, apologized sincerely, promising to trust Arashiyama's unique power from now on. She leaned in, determination restored, urging Gero to rise this time. They would fight side by side. After hearing the pain in Arashiyama's voice, Gero offers partnership to overcome everything ahead. Determined to prove herself, she summons her trained hamsters with tearful resolve and commanding pride. Tiny creatures scatter, forming rings around a glowing point, revealing the terrain through synchronized instinct. She reveals the constructed map, proudly explaining how the hamsters surveyed the island's complex geography. Impressed by her ability, Gero feels hopeful, knowing they now have direction and a strong ally. With dramatic flair, Arashiyama announces a personal challenge: her home-cooked meal prepared with pride. Refusal comes too late. Hamsters mobilize instantly, gathering ingredients under Arashiyama's commanding presence and energy. She unveils a massive portion of Arashiyama hodgepodge, pushing it toward Gero with relentless enthusiasm. Firmly, she warns of grave consequences, demanding compliance as she holds the spoon near his mouth. Frozen in disbelief, Gero watches the spoon approach, haunted by a voice urging him to remember. Long-ingrained instincts whisper danger. Anything not self-prepared could be laced with betrayal, deception, or death. Memories and warnings collide in his mind, freezing his body before the food touches lips. Despite hesitation, he bites down firmly, silencing doubt in one decisive act of trust and courage. Quiet surprise fills the moment. Eyes meet in shared tension as something unspoken begins to shift. Relief breaks through as his voice declares its simple, honest approval. The taste exceeds all fear. Arashiyama's expression turns defensive, urging Jiro not to overthink the questionable contents of her dish. She recalls her brother cooking the same meal when money was tight, before he vanished. Jiro's stunned silence deepens as Arashiyama confesses she thought only of him, while preparing everything. Nuts for strength, light seasoning, and long simmering. Arashiyama tailored the meal to Jiro's wounded condition. With a shout, Arashiyama ends the moment, declaring her sincerity with awkward energy and forced pride. Jiro expresses genuine gratitude to Arashiyama, deeply moved by her cooking and effort to help. Later that night, Jiro watches over her sleeping form, before quietly stepping away under moonlight. He walks forward alone, confronting a group of mysterious figures with confidence and silent intent. Raising a finger, Jiro signals for silence, commanding the moment with calm and piercing focus. Then he acknowledges Arashiyama's exhaustion, asking for her rest, while facing down their enemies without hesitation. Several enemies fall helplessly through the air, defeated in a single brutal exchange by Jiro. Without pause, Jiro intercepts another attacker mid-air, knocking him down before he could retaliate. The forest falls silent as Jiro stands alone, surrounded by unconscious bodies breathing heavily. Though exhausted, Jiro lets himself unwind, assuming Arashiyama remains safe and peacefully asleep nearby. Suddenly alarmed, Jiro senses danger, sprinting toward the cave where a stranger samples Arashiyama's food. The intruder spits out Arashiyama's dish in disgust, insulting it as Jiro silently approaches. Mocking the presentation, he insults the taste, unaware of Jiro's rising fury and clenched fists. Jiro demands answers, but the man casually rambles about romance shows and ruining emotional buildup. Holding Jiro's cracked glasses, he admits harming Arashiyama, treating it like a twisted narrative twist. The beast user taunts Jiro, mocking his connection with Arashiyama and their matching glasses. He claims Arashiyama's defeat, discards the glasses, and belittles her as a owed pet. Suddenly, he reveals it was all a joke, twisting the moment into cruel entertainment. Jiro remains composed, masking rage, as the man admits Arashiyama still lives for now. Grinning wide, the enemy demands Jiro's blood, believing it essential to complete his twisted plan. Then Jiro is pushed to the edge as the enemy screams about Arashiyama's life being endangered. Tension lingers as Jiro remains silent, while the enemy watches for a reaction, expecting rage. Confused by the stillness, the enemy shakes Jiro, trying to provoke any emotional response. Without warning, Jiro lunges, his eyes cold, movements sharp, fully awakened with killer instinct and resolve. Battle erupts instantly. Jiro moves in, surrounded by enemies, ready to strike without hesitation. Jiro arrives in a snake-infested lair, taunted by the villain threatening Arashiyama's life again. Meanwhile, Arashiyama lies unconscious on the cold floor, a snake's grip tightening around her neck. She stirs painfully, regaining awareness. Her hands are tied as she's locked inside a glass room. Now fully awake, Arashiyama sees disturbing scenes: others imprisoned, broken, and barely alive in glass cages. Realizing the truth, she identifies the prisoners as Beast Clan sub-branches, just like herself once was. Arashiyama realized the disappearances were real. Her brother might be one of the missing captives. Trapped inside a sealed room, she spotted Sirius, her loyal hamster, rushing to help. With determination, she sent Sirius into the vents, hoping he could lead Jiro to her. Meanwhile, Jiro unleashed a devastating technique, overwhelming his enemies with the force of Hype-Delp's pike fist. Watching Jiro's ferocity, the beast user cheered wildly, thrilled by the chaos he had provoked. Jiro's potential shines brightly. Even enemies admit his unmatched brilliance in the current specialist-driven world. Facing overwhelming numbers, Jiro stares down an army of altered captives and mutated beasts combined. Despite his strength, Jiro's confidence wavers. He's outnumbered and exhausted, struggling to maintain consciousness and balance. He debates using a dangerous triple dose, knowing the risk of death increases with every injection. Crushed and mocked, Jiro suffers defeat. Opponents ridicule his failure despite his elite lineage and abilities. Surrounded and overwhelmed, Garo endures the crushing weight of attackers piling mercilessly from all sides. Insults echo as Garo's efforts are belittled, called amateurish by someone hidden in the shadows. Suddenly an enormous strike shatters the enemy formation, halting the assault and forcing a chaotic retreat. A newcomer steps forward, mocking the enemy's strategy, effortlessly taking down Garo's attackers with precise control. Holding Garo, the specialist named Ushio declares his superiority, offering his lethal services at lower cost. Tension filled the forest as Ushio declared their relationship strictly professional, despite shared past missions. Bloodied and exhausted, Garo stood silent while she criticized his reckless pattern of underpaid dangerous work. His low wage shocked her, accepting such terms insulted his lineage and jeopardized the mercenary economy. Facing a horde of opponents, they stood firm, her sharp words mocking his flawed strategic judgment again. Charging through the woods on a rhino, Gero insisted defeating the Beastmaster served future plans. Kinosaki quietly explained Gero's goal, helping others was his path toward finding lasting love. Despite his methods, Paishi questioned Gero's logic, fighting enemies just to meet potential partners. Absurd. While dodging attacks, Kinosaki admitted Gero's route wasn't smart but still believed in his intentions. In truth, even Gero doubted the plan, but over time, the mission became deeply personal. Witnessing his growth firsthand, the girls couldn't hide their surprise. He'd exceeded every one of them. Through quiet reflection, someone realized Gero had always longed for connection more than recognition or praise. Not for fame or money, he simply hoped to help others find happiness using his skills. To Kinosaki, his odd journey made sense. His actions showed true commitment beneath clumsy efforts. If finding love mattered most, then the path should be just as meaningful and bold. Watching Kinosaki smile proudly, Paishi admitted her past gave her surprising insight into human heart. Toshio launched a fierce attack, clearing enemies as more beasts and fighters swarmed from the hillside. Overwhelmed by numbers, she regretted underestimating the mission's difficulty and how little she charged for it. Enemies closed in fast, her water supply dwindled, tactical choices narrowed with each calculated blast. Gero stepped forward calmly, eyes unwavering, offering assistance not out of pride but from urgent trust. Though reluctant, Ushio paused, his sincerity broke through resistance. She realized he truly needed her strength. A violent explosion burst at the enemy's center, sending gas and panic through the advancing crowd. Commanders shouted orders as chaos spread, assuring soldiers the gas would fade if they stayed back. Despite precautions, several began collapsing, proving the team had underestimated the Poison Master's evolving chemical strategy. The gas mutated midair, forcing its way into lungs, bypassing masks and triggering raw terror. In perfect coordination, Gero and Ushio unleashed swift counterattacks, disabling enemies caught in the suffocating fog. The battlefield fell silent. Enemies collapsed one by one as Gero and Ushio stood victorious. Behind the mask, Gero remained composed. Ushio stared, waiting for his next reckless demand. Though capable of controlling mist, Ushio made it clear she wouldn't be manipulated without consent. Gero apologized quickly. Ushio reminded him professionalism mattered. With no pause, she led the next march. Before leaving, Gero finally spoke with sincerity. His quiet thanks caught her completely off guard. Another layer unfolded as Peachy revealed her surprise. She'd recruited help for Arashiyama without warning anyone. Prisoners passed beneath dead eyes and cruel warnings, where surrender meant peace and resistance meant torment. A woman collapsed in the next cell, breath shallow, body trembling, already marked for death. From his corner, the old man watched. Her will remained, but her strength was fading. Fate offered only two paths: die as yourself, with dignity, or lose everything to madness. Pain surged again, her time nearly gone. Arashiyama realized survival demanded action, not quiet acceptance anymore. Mocked for her age, she knelt in silence as prisoners circled like vultures, amused, unbothered. A hand seized her throat, another taunted with pills. Their cruelty wasn't random, it was rehearsed. No one offered mercy. Their leader sneered, claiming her body, her life, now belonged elsewhere. Tears spilled as memories surged back, her brother gone, her mission fueled by guilt and desperation. Regret struck hard. She wished for freedom, not power, not this cursed title she inherited. Chaos erupted as Gero stormed in, dismantling the captors with brutal precision and controlled fury. One attacker shouted in disbelief, rules shattered, pride wounded. Gero's arrival broke every expectation they held. Arashiyama froze, stunned by the sudden violence and power. tears mixing with awe and confusion. Bodies littered the floor. Giro stood unfazed, already turning his back as silence reclaimed the hallway. She whispered thanks. He dismissed it coldly, uninterested in praise. The rescue wasn't personal for now. Giro's voice lacked emotion. He claimed no pride, just followed orders. Nothing more, nothing less. Arashiyama stood frozen, overwhelmed. Awe replaced fear as admiration sparked suddenly within her battered heart. She vowed that day to follow him. Giro became her hero, her unstoppable obsession. Unaware of her devotion, he walked away distant as ever, buried in his own silence. Years later, she understood the truth. That version of Giro never existed, only her illusion did. Giro recognized his past arrogance. He'd once ignored truth, seeing only what fed his pride. Now, standing firm with purpose, he chose this fight not for orders, but for conviction. Arashiyama remembered his rescue. This time, it wasn't duty, it was his will to protect. She saw how far he'd grown, while her own strength remained unchanged, burdened by failure. Determined not to stay behind, she clenched her fists, ready to fight beside him. With resolve solidified, she rose alone. No backup, no weapons, only the mission remained. Determination hardened in her eyes. Doubt vanished. This time, she would not fail his trust. Unexpected allies descended, battle-scarred hamsters, organized in fear. A strange force prepared for coordinated action. She issued silent commands, meeting their gaze. Every creature understood. The operation was now active. Hamsters spread into ventilation shafts, carrying critical scrolls. A secret message would reach every prisoner. Prisoners across cells received the message. Through the Hami Rat network, Arashiyama launched the prison-wide rebellion. Kinosaki Mei, a self-proclaimed marriage swindler, began aiding Gero in finding a partner. Instead of matchmaking, she found herself dodging fists in an underground brawl full of chaos. They encountered Peachy, once an enemy, but now an ally with shared goals and raw strength. After 10 hours of rest, Peachy recovered from grave injuries, shocking Mei with his durability. They bypassed elite guards using a secret route, reaching the beast user's hideout undetected and prepared. With cautious steps, they reached the fortress gate, where Peachy slowly pushed the creaking doors apart. Inside, a grim cavern stretched forward, lined with bones and crosses, exuding dread from every shadowed corner. Standing ahead, a massive bear loomed beside a man calmly working behind a strange laboratory setup. Without turning, the man Bayako requested 10 seconds, while the beast stared down their every possible movement. Suddenly, power surged through the bear's body, its muscles swelling before launching into a full charge. The bear lunged with crushing force, while Peachy clenched his fist and faced it head-on. Despite their strength, society labeled them outcast beings too dangerous, even for the underworld's ruthless standards. Whispers of disgust followed their bloodline, spreading vile rumors and robbing them of basic human dignity. His mother shielded him from a brutal strike, sacrificing her body to protect her only child. While gravely wounded, she smiled weakly, blaming herself for bleeding, still trying to comfort her son. Doctors and citizens rejected him violently, blaming his bloodline and slamming the door without hesitation. Back at home, he called out softly, hoping his mother was still breathing inside. No answers came. Alone in grief, he broke down, questioning why life punished them relentlessly. A stranger appeared in the doorway, sharing the same hatred toward a world built on cruelty. While offering a strange gift, the man spoke of strength, superiority, and discarding all weakness. Kinosaki extended her hand to Peachy, offering rebellion against the world that abandoned them. Suddenly, a monstrous bear crashed through the wall, lunging at Peachy with violent, unstoppable force. Though terrified, the bear recalled Toshiro's command, its purpose reborn through newfound loyalty and vengeance. Toshiro swiftly countered, calculating his strike while pondering the practicality of bear meat for business. As the beast fell, he warned its master he sought no justice, only cold, decisive results. Peachy confronted his enemy, blade trembling, vowing to take life before surrendering his own. Toshiro, unshaken, addressed Peachy calmly, mocking his hesitation and questioning his will to rise. Inside the lab, a monstrous beast fused from countless bloodlines awakened beneath shattered containment glass. As the chamber exploded, Kinosaki and Peachy barely escaped while the creature was unleashed. The amalgamation roared with terrifying force, towering over them, bred for carnage and absolute obedience. The scientist laughed maniacally, activating the cursed controller as the beast roared, drunk on stolen power. Gero and Ushio arrived at a remote valley where giant beasts stood guarding a sealed shrine. Veteran wardens awaited them in silence, aware of what was to come, hiding unease beneath discipline. Declaring the location as their battlefield, Ushio signaled that negotiations were over, conflict had become inevitable. With one motion, she struck. The ground erupted violently, scattering the guards. Juro calmly advanced without hesitation. Inside a cavern beyond the carnage, cursed spirits emerged. Their true objective, severing ancient bonds, finally began. Tanisaki stood frozen as Pitakai was snatched by the monstrous hand, lifted without resistance. Towering above them, the demon roared. Pitakai and Kanasaki barely kept their footing against the force. Analyzing the situation, Pitakai realized his knife was useless. He needed something stronger, something unexpected. A quick glance revealed massive debris nearby. He lunged, shielding Kanasaki from falling spikes and impact. Spotting a jagged bone, Pitakai seized it without hesitation. This improvised weapon would have to suffice. Eyes burning with determination, Pitakai focused completely. Fear vanished, replaced by instinct sharpened through desperation. He swung the massive bone with full force, momentum cutting through the air like a blade. Kunasaki watched in disbelief as Pitakai launched the ancient spine toward the towering beast's exposed flank. A thunderous impact followed. The shockwave cracked stone, and the creature reeled from the devastating blow. Blasted back by the aftermath, Kunasaki shielded her. Dust clouded the air. Silence replaced the roar. Pitakai sat battered and bloodied, his bone weapon crumbling as the demon loomed above him. Expression unreadable, he dropped the remains. The battlefield quieted, but his mind remained razor-focused. Without warning, skeletal remains reassembled. With sheer force, Pitakai hurled them directly at the advancing beast. The demon lunged, but the spinning bone struck first, fracturing its hide with a brutal crack. Analyzing mid-battle, Pitakai noted its unnatural build, lightweight yet powerful. He readied himself for the next exchange. Pitakai launched another planned distraction through debris and speed. His goal was a fatal blindside strike. Before he could act, the creature countered mid-charge. It predicted him, moving with terrifying precision. Watching from afar, the mastermind grinned mockingly. Despite Piakai's strength, nothing he attempted was effective. Taunting him further, the man called him weak, incapable of defeating anyone, not even his own creation. He revealed the truth: Hashigo was crafted from selected specialist blood, combined unnaturally with Piakai's own lineage. The scientist revealed the truth: Hashigo was engineered as a superior version of Piakai's self. Overwhelmed by the weight of this revelation, Piakai was struck down before he could resist. Piakai-saki rushed to his side. Amidst chaos, Piakai's phone buzzed insistently with an incoming call. To their shock, the emergency was a friend screaming joyfully about something completely unrelated. Oblivious to the danger, she cheered about a concert while Piakai lay bruised and bloodied. While Piakai lay injured, she excitedly listed concert venues, unaware of the looming danger nearby. She ended the call cheerfully, thinking of music, unaware it might be her final goodbye. Mocking her ignorance, the man ordered Hashigo to strike. He declared Piakai's fate sealed forever. Suddenly, an explosive force erupted beneath them. The enemy flinched, stunned by the unexpected resistance. Gripping his weapon, Piakai recalled her voice. Protecting their shared future became his only reason. Piakai's voice echoed in Piakai's mind as he struck, awakening a masked warrior's interest. The masked warrior stepped forward, energy rising. The enemy laughed, mocking Pichi's sudden shift in resolve. With blinding speed, he launched a flurry of strikes, overwhelming all observers in stunned silence. Hasho reeled. Each movement carried weight. Something in him had changed. He was evolving mid-battle. She watched in horror as Hasho roared. Pichi stood firm, ready to face the monster's charge. Strategic thoughts flooded Pichi's mind. He analyzed weaknesses, identifying Hasho as a chimera built for war. As debris flew, Pichi leapt forward. His body moved, while thoughts raced through his mind. The shattered chaos surrounding him only sharpened focus. His mind fully embraced its tactical freedom. Hasho struggled to comprehend Pichi's surge. A single call had somehow turned weakness into dominance. With no hesitation, Pichi seized Hasho's weapon. He acted decisively, knowing victory required precise aggression now. A clean strike landed deep. Hasho's body shuddered. Shock and disbelief flooded his many widening eyes. The beast's attacks intensified, but the horned man spun midair, avoiding every deadly strike precisely. Calculations sharpened, he discovered the nerve link controlling the chimera's right arm, striking without hesitation. With a crack and twist he replaced its skull with another, gaining total control instantly. The chimera's host struggled mentally, rejecting the transformation, desperate not to lose control or identity. Seizing the opportunity, the horned man drove the weapon down, ending the chaos completely. The massive beast collapsed, its skull shattered. Peachy stood silently, eyes heavy with guilt and regret. Although injured and exhausted, Peachy raised the severed horn, knowing the master's threat still remained alive. Staggering forward, Peachy's legs trembled. His comrade called out, rushing to support his faltering, bloodied frame. With barely open eyes, Peachy whispered weakly, requesting only 5 minutes to rest on the ground. Facing the beast's corpse, he silently promised to end it all before more lives vanished. Toshiro knelt beside the beast's corpse, pleading for it to consume every drop he had. He smiled faintly, offering himself. Merging with the creature felt like the only meaningful path left. Byako and the girl struggled to flee. The forest cracked. A thick blood mist emerged suddenly. Tendrils burst from the ground. Terror gripped them both as Toshiro's body became the mist's core. From the swirling darkness, a monstrous form rose. His sacrifice awakened a godlike, reborn horror. Now, as its voice echoed through smoke, the final phase of chaos had begun without hesitation. A deadly strike lands behind him just as Kinasaki's warning comes too late to help. Despite exhaustion, she drags Peachy's limp body while a monstrous enemy gives chase from above. Noticing the exit ahead, her determination reignites. There's still a chance to escape with him. They sprint toward safety, but the bloodied figure's taunting voice echoes unnervingly behind the pair. Terror locks her gaze forward as the door violently blasts open before she reaches it. The sealed door bursts open violently as Garo and his ally crash through with unstoppable force. Kinasaki freezes mid-step, eyes wide, realizing Garo's arrival has shifted the battle's hopeless direction. Bloodied but alive, Garo smiles warmly and reassures her with words she longed to hear. Relief floods Kinasaki's expression as she finally sees the one she'd fought desperately to protect. While allies regroup, Ushio demands payment, breaking tension with humor. As the team stands reunited again, the group faces a lone enemy ahead as Garo apologizes for dragging Kinasaki into danger. He rallies the team with confidence, determined to protect her and finish the mission strong. Their opponent is identified an elite from the Beast Clan, one of the 5 strongest families. This clan's members can bond with beast partners by modifying and enhancing specific organs within themselves. Unlike their sub-branches, the Dogo bloodline has no genetic limit, granting terrifying power to the head family. Through specialized blood, the Dogo clan can absorb and weaponize diverse strengths from animal species. At the core of their mutation lies beast blood, origin of their unnatural strength and evolution. By combining genetic material from 93 creatures, the clan achieves unparalleled biological enhancement and combat utility. This hybrid essence takes form in Byako, a host empowered to unleash the beast's overwhelming force. Hayako emerges fully awakened, its monstrous body screaming domination as enemies are reduced to mere fodder. The monstrous beast fully reveals itself, its grotesque body stitched together from dozens of animal species. Everyone stares in silence as the creature's massive frame dominates the battlefield with paralyzing pressure. Wounded and scattered, the team struggles to recover while shockwaves ripple across the ruined ground. Kinasaki finds Garo's battered body among the rubble, panic rising as she calls his name. From above, Dogo mocks their unity, declaring every fighter a sacrifice for his own ascension. Dogo's body mutates into a horrific beast, mocking the fallen warriors as worthless sacrifices. Then she shields Garo's body, planting herself between him and danger, unwilling to retreat another step. Though threatened by Dogo's grin, her eyes burn with defiance as Garo's fingers begin to twitch. Inside the mirrored prison, scattered captives stirred as a single voice urged unified resistance aloud. Arashiyama roared with wild confidence, declaring escape inevitable if only they believed in shared revolt. Yet none answered her fire. Heads lowered, eyes dulled, hope swallowed by countless silent defeats. Memories surface, partners screaming, devoured by monstrous beasts, their bonds torn apart by unrelenting terror. Even freedom meant death. That monster waited beyond, faster than any dream of running could. Arashiyama slammed down, body trembling as memories and pain clashed violently in her choking chest. Gritting her teeth, she refused collapse, eyes burning with defiance even as strength drained rapidly away. Kanasaki froze, stunned by the sight of Gero standing amid wreckage, emotionless and bloodstained. Syringes clattered from Gero's hand. He neither moved nor responded, lost in overwhelming internal chaos. A monstrous beast surged forward. Enemy laughter echoed while Kanasaki stared in horror, caught between dread and helplessness. The monstrous creature lunged forward, hailed by its creator as the ultimate culmination of horror. Unmoving, Gero stared directly into its spiraling maw, unfazed by its impossible size or force. His mind drifted elsewhere, recalling peaceful moments, quiet mornings, warm meals, and the taste of calm. With bloodied lips he whispered a dream's simple conversation over food, untouched by violence or duty. Everything erupted in blinding light and thunder as the impact finally shattered the stillness apart. As the dust cleared, Kanasaki struggled to move, while the grinning enemy mocked her weakness. Turning around, the horned man locked eyes with Gero, suddenly aware of something unsettling approaching. Their stares collided, one wide with dread, the other quiet, heavy with intent and deep focus. Somewhere deep inside, time ticked, memories, cells, and instincts aligned with Gero's body nearing its threshold. The family's secret stirred awake, poison blood, dormant until death's touch, now surged through his veins. Despite Gero's potential, mastery of poison blood required years of patience, training, and strict restraint. The elder's smile masked brutal reality. True advancement wouldn't arrive until decades of survival had passed. Warnings were clear, progress came slow, and reckless exposure to poison would lead to death. Still, every mission, every desperate clash, had pushed him further than anyone ever predicted possible. Each near-death trial had quietly evolved his body, accelerating the growth of inherited poison power. Years of battle experience condensed into seconds, forcing Gero's poison-infused body to mutate rapidly. His opponent countered with precision, animal traits fused into one: vision, agility, strength, and brutal claws. The beastly charge closed in, aiming to end everything before Gero could fully reawaken. Without turning, Gero offered a calm smile, confident, resolved, and unshaken by the enemy's strike. Underneath it all, one desire endured, simple, honest, and human. He just wanted to marry. The ground shattered violently as Gero's evolved strength launched the enemy skyward in pieces, crashing into rubble. The horned beast collapsed. Gero's transformation had pushed him into the next stage. The ground shattered violently as power surged. Gero's body awakened to a new poisonous potential. Though his strike landed, the enemy mocked him. Unshaken, a far greater threat loomed nearby. A chilling presence emerged, silent yet dominant, standing calmly before an enormous mountain of human remains. Those corpses weren't shameful losses, but achievements. To the elite, they symbolized heritage, control, and ruthless supremacy. Refusing to yield, Gero launched a counterattack. His enemy's confidence cracked under sudden, precise retaliation. A deep crater shook the battlefield. Gero stepped forward, his expression tightening with sudden realization. Without warning, serpentine weapons shot from underground. His opponent stood calm, surrounded by a forest of fangs. Gero narrowly dodged, recognizing their source: his own blood. Poison resistance made the enemy nearly untouchable now. Still catching his breath, the enemy watched Gero charge. Blades clashed against writhing fangs in violent rhythm. Strength alone wouldn't win. Gero's growth was evident, but lethal power still lagged behind what's truly required. Attacks intensified as emotions boiled. His rival, wounded but focused, acknowledged Gero's terrifying, accelerated growth. Jealousy erupted into rage. Despite admiration, the enemy couldn't accept talent born without long years of suffering. Raging screams questioned Gero's purpose. The enemy couldn't comprehend why such power wasn't used for killing. Gero didn't flinch. Bloodied but unwavering, he challenged the belief that death was the only solution. His opponent smirked through blood. Survival instincts surged. This would no longer be a battle of skill. Dark energy surged from Dogo's arm. He revealed his ultimate technique, prepared to finish everything immediately. Power responded to threat. Instinct awakened. Beast blood coursed violently through Gero's transforming, reinforced body. Animal spirits erupted around him. Their combined fury materialized into a relentless, coordinated 100-beast barrage. The summoned creatures, once forgotten, now returned. Haseki's ancient forms reassembled for a final, overwhelming retaliation. Despite the chaos, Gero didn't falter. Surrounded by death, he questioned the meaning behind endless killing. While beasts tore forward, their force phased through. His hand rose, driven by singular clarity. That wish wasn't vengeance. Amid chaos, his only goal was ordinary happiness, nothing more complex. Years of isolation and pressure meant nothing. Deep inside, he knew survival required support, not solitude. Allies once distant had drawn closer. Trust had formed, proving strength could come from connection. With clarity and resolve, he released his final power. Poison blood surged, awakened by purpose. Strength reached its peak. With everything he cherished flashing in mind, he prepared to end it. The 5 ancient clans pursued power through generations, reshaping their bloodlines with brutal evolutionary intent. Giro channels the poison burning in his veins, unleashing a concentrated strike without hesitation. His body harbors countless venoms, waging internal war. Only the deadliest survives to strengthen him. Victory comes at a cost no antidote exists. One touch of the final toxin kills. That truth, terrifying and undeniable, shakes his enemy, realizing escape from death is now impossible. Power surged within his sealed hands, fingers tightening slowly, concentrating the venom pulsing through every vein. Fingers spread wide as toxin threads lashed outward, unstable energy swirling with lethal purpose and precision. A blinding eruption blasted outward, rocks and beasts recoiled from the raw wave of corruption. Giro extended both arms with intensity, but his enemy mocked him, confident in shared blood. Suddenly, multiple detonations erupted around him, shocking his expression as the true trap ignited in full. Shattered terrain smoldered underfoot, the enemy stared in disbelief, wounded deeply by the unexpected toxin's effect. Internal panic surged as he questioned his vulnerability, facing a technique forged through blood, risk, and endurance. To surpass his limit, he discarded his form, forcefully evolving into a more vicious predator. Grotesque power surged as he abandoned humanity, becoming a relentless weapon, wild and stripped of restraint. The monstrous figure charged with primal hunger, while Giro remained composed, ready for the inevitable collision ahead. Fangs clashed against motion. Giro twisted midair, narrowly evading the savage jaws of the transformed beast. In a swift countermove, he plunged downward, embedding venom through contact with the enemy's altered skin. With calm precision, Giro revealed his strategy. This wasn't brute strength. It was manipulation rooted in experience. Realization dawned too late. The surroundings vanished, and the foe froze, disoriented by sudden sensory deprivation. He stumbled in darkness alone, unable to hear or see, panic rising in every breath. Breath quickened as dread overtook him. Movement failed, vision blurred, and something massive closed in fast. Not brute force, but lethal design decided the battle. One perfected toxin ensured complete and silent victory. Cracked and broken, the creature floated in darkness, its thoughts consumed by despair and looming death. Memories of victims flashed before its eyes, each one devoured for strength, now utterly meaningless. Even after countless battles, its power couldn't pierce the true predators standing just beyond reach. Energy surged wildly as it prepared for one final act, obliterate everyone before collapsing into nothingness. With a shriek of fury and vengeance, it launched downward, determined to bring them all down. A monstrous roar tore through the sky as Giro's allies froze beneath the shadow above. Standing between death and his comrades, he heard the creature question his values and resolve. Teeth bared and eyes wide, the enemy lunged, declaring Giro had already lost the battle. While the girl braced for impact, Giro's voice remained calm, focused on the word duel. Bloodied but unshaken, he met its gaze, declaring with conviction that it was completely mistaken. The beast lunged again, jaws wide, as Kinasaki shielded herself from the inevitable impact. Time paused. A strange energy paralyzed the monster mid-attack, shocking both allies and enemies alike. Appearing with mocking laughter, Arashiyama revealed herself grinning, empowered, and dragging reluctant prisoners behind her. In sterile silence, prisoners watched her defy reason, unable to grasp how she still stood. Though labeled the weakest, Arashiyama trembled upward, voice rising with fury, commanding everyone's attention and will. Arashiyama faced the crowd, acknowledging their fear as she revealed the true nature of their enemy. Her voice sharpened with purpose, reminding them of something critical they were never allowed to forget. In their bloodline, taming beasts wasn't weakness, it was survival. Their strongest skill passed through generations. Though those beasts raged under another's control, she urged them to remember they were never the enemy. With unwavering conviction, she declared them irreplaceable, not monsters but partners who shared their fight to live. The monster roared with rage as the prisoners, once silent, now stood united against him. One of them stepped forward, speaking calmly while reaching out to the beasts within the enemy. From Garo's voice came defiance. It wasn't personal anymore. This battle belonged to everyone chained. Together they surrounded the tyrant, their presence no longer hesitant but driven by a shared purpose. Overwhelmed by resistance, the beast thrashed violently, spitting curses as unity turned fear into strength. Closing the distance, Garo reached out, pressing his hand against the beast's face without hesitation. Power surged between them, and for a moment everything around them stopped as force condensed. The ground shattered beneath his strike, raw impact tearing through layers of stone and energy. Momentum carried him through the debris, unwavering, every motion driven by purpose forged from shared struggle. Amid the silence, Garo approached the collapsed enemy, preparing the final vial with steady hand. Their eyes met, both smiling quietly, relief setting in as the final dose was prepared. Cheers erupted around them, the once divided crowd now united in joy, fear finally left behind. As liquid touched the cursed collar, it shattered instantly, proof their victory was complete and real. The Beast Clan holds a sacred right. Children receive animal partners upon turning 13 years old. Before the clan head, Toshiro knelt silently, unaware of the partner fate had chosen. Instead of a noble tiger or loyal wolf, he was presented a screeching, frantic bat. Confusion filled his heart. He stared toward the shadowed elder, questioning why he was chosen. Suppressing doubt, he bowed low and accepted the unexpected bond with dignity and trembling hands. Whispers surrounded him like thorns. The bat symbolized rejection, proof he'd never lead the clan. Suspicion clouded his thoughts. Perhaps fear, not judgment, drove the elder to brand him weak. Grinning through rage, he answered rejection with slaughter, unleashing violence none expected from the boy dishonored. After the bloodbath, he stood triumphant. Surrounded by corpses, he claimed the title for himself. But fate struck back. Defeated and broken, he lay at Jiro's feet, claws twitching in disbelief. Jiro's voice remained calm. His poison wasn't vengeance. It was shaped by intention, not hatred. Rather than rivalry, his only goal had been protecting Arashiyama and the other beast users. Toshiro laughed bitterly, calling Bloodlines a curse, one that poisons every ambition and consumes the soul. He declared noble birth a burden, forcing endless conflict under the illusion of inherited greatness. Silence fell between them. Jiro stood firm, while his companion watched, stunned by his restraint. Standing firm, Jiro rejected the idea of cursed lineage, speaking with clarity and quiet strength. His resolve burned bright. If needed, he would dedicate his life to proving that truth. Time and effort, values he cherished, held more meaning to him than bloodlines or inherited privilege. Shiro scoffed at Jiro's beliefs, but the others began to see sincerity in his stance. A sudden question cut through tension. Toshiro's secrets weren't forgotten, and others demanded full, honest answers. Bayako suddenly charged forward, collapsing beside Toshiro, shocking everyone with a look of desperation. With a soft voice, Bayako offered forgiveness and loyalty, asking to begin everything anew together. The moment shattered as sharp eyes locked in. Escape was no longer a possible outcome. Amid the chaos, Bayako shielded him, holding close while others chased, sensing the end approaching. A giant beast's jaws snapped down, ending them both in an instant. No chance to scream. Gasps spread through the group. No one expected mercy, yet they were still breathing, untouched, alive. With grace, the woman rested against the beast's side, mourning gently, guarding the fallen pair. Without hesitation, she introduced herself with elegance, calmly excusing her brother's violent and disgraceful behavior. Tanako Dogo, recently appointed, now stood as the new matriarch of the feared Beast Clan. Her decision was swift. Toshiro and Bayako would be taken into custody under her supervision. Their silence masked fear. Tanako's presence alone commanded obedience, and no one dared interrupt her authority. A soft smile followed her warning. Threats hung gently, yet unmistakably sharp behind every word. As she turned, her gaze lingered. The power balance had shifted permanently and without bloodshed. Unexpectedly, she recalled his purpose. With unsettling ease, she offered something far more personal than advice. With calculated charm, she extended a proposal. His breath caught, unsure if it was threat or invitation. Before leaving, Tanako hinted at future alliances, her words cryptic, intentions hidden behind perfect control. In a flash of wind and fur, she vanished, leaving only silence and swirling leaves behind. Jiro broke the tension with a dry remark, masking fatigue and unease beneath casual indifference. His companions weren't fooled. They knew his true journey. Finding a partner was only just beginning. Peachy smiled, offering quiet encouragement. For Gero, the path ahead suddenly felt heavier but not alone. Laughter filled the clearing. Despite recent wounds, the group stood together stronger, closer, and finally at peace. Returning from battle, they boarded Oshio taxi. Arashiyama prepared a surprise, amplifying her beast lineage. Suddenly, adorable creatures burst from the water. A wild celebration began under Arashiyama's radiant command. Spectators watched in awe as seals balanced hamsters and hoops twirled through air with precision. With a fierce shout, Arashiyama called forth the final act. Everyone braced for the climax. A dazzling light display erupted, whales soared, animals danced. Arashiyama's gratitude was written across the sea. The celebration ended, and reflection began. Specialists knew their limits, yet hearts brimmed with gratitude. She voice rang out strong. Despite hardship, they'd keep surviving, giving life everything they had left. Gero's eyes widened, emotions overwhelming him. Something in her words struck deeper than he expected. No more words needed. His smile said it all. Arashiyama answered with tears and laughter. As the boat drifted onward, something changed. Gero and Arashiyama's hearts quietly aligned, unspoken but real. Kinosaki, ever the master swindler, spotted the perfect moment and pushed the pair closer. Without hesitation, she hijacked the group's focus, dragging everyone into an unexpected conversation about love. When asked about his girlfriend, Peachy answered sincerely, stunning the group with pure-hearted admiration. Despite his dark past, she had taught him joy. Her smile gave his life meaning. He spoke with conviction. Through pain or peace, he would protect their life together forever. Everyone stood stunned. Peachy's declaration echoed deeply, even shaking the normally composed and guarded Gero. Unlike the others, Peachy remained calm and unshaken, his steady presence rooted in earned experience. Kinosaki saw opportunity and act. Pulling Gero aside, she prepared to push things forward again. She revealed her analysis. Arashiyama likely had feelings, but idealizing Gero made things delicate. To protect Arashiyama's heart, Kinosaki urged caution. Gero needed to act differently than before. Kinosaki recognized Gero's steady growth. Still, she insisted a push was needed to accelerate progress. Encouragement came with guidance. Gero was nudged toward Arashiyama, urged to act decisively before time ran out. The city Kinosaki declared it was now or never. His final chance was approaching fast. As Arashiyama turned to him, hope flickered. Gero finally called out her name, heart pounding, but pressure overwhelmed him. Just as he opened his mouth, nerves exploded and panic took over. Doubt stormed his mind. The idea of being liked felt too foreign to accept easily. Confusion and panic surged. Kinosaki worried Gero wouldn't recover fast enough to respond properly. Heavy breaths followed. He stepped forward, mustering the courage to face what he couldn't comprehend. Words stumbled out. His voice cracked as Arashiyama smiled, encouraging whatever he was trying to say. Realizing Gero was overwhelmed, Kinosaki stepped in, buying time before he completely shut down again. Without waiting, Arashiyama confessed directly. Her voice steady, gaze fierce, she declared her feelings without hesitation. Gero froze completely. Her words hit harder than any battle. His mind spiraled, overwhelmed by disbelief. Waves crashed around them as Gero suddenly confessed, his voice unwavering despite the storm's roar. Kinosaki froze, heart racing, torn between truth and fear as silence gripped the crowded deck. Hands trembling, she admitted knowing his search, but believing herself unworthy to stand beside him. Facing everyone, she explained her hesitation, rooted in lingering doubts and a lack of self-belief. Even so, she clung to a fragile hope he'd still accept her imperfect, uncertain self. Tears fell as she admitted fearing dependence, afraid of becoming a weight he'd silently carry. Determined to change, she vowed to grow stronger before expressing her love to him again. Past regrets fueled her goal to become a woman worthy of supporting Gero on equal ground. With steady eyes and a clenched fist, she faced him, no longer hiding her resolve. Grinning confidently now, Arashiyama declared her challenge to make him fall in love completely. The sudden challenge caught everyone off guard, her confidence shaking the stillness of the evening air. Speechless, Gero turned away briefly, his composure cracked, while Arashiyama realized what she'd just said. He muttered thanks, overwhelmed by her sincerity, yet doubting if he truly deserved such admiration. With flushed cheeks, he admitted no one had ever spoken to him so honestly before. Regaining his resolve, Gero smiled faintly and promised he'd be there no matter how long. Arashiyama beamed, her genuine joy lighting the night as her heart brimmed with renewed strength. Watching them banter, Konosaki blushed in delight while Garo fumbled nervously under Arashiyama's playful teasing. Laughter echoed between them as they exchanged contacts, the moment sealing a warm new beginning. From the boat, their teammates quietly observed the progress, hopeful for a successful future partnership. Mission complete, Peachy dove off with payment demands, leaving confusion and financial dread in her wake. With bold confidence, she revealed her future plan to launch the Arashiyama Detective Agency immediately. Grinning proudly, she insisted detective work sounded far cooler and felt more true to her heart. Beyond business, she hoped to find her missing brother, a personal mission she never abandoned. Watching her leave, they reflected not only on Arashiyama's growth, but their own unfinished journeys too. Inspired by everyone's passion and resolve, Konosaki quietly admitted she still had much to improve. Garo declared his goal clearly to become stronger, someone deserving to stand beside those he admired. Encouraged by Konosaki's smile, he braced for the tough training she promised without hesitation. Elsewhere, an unknown figure descended hidden stairs, leading deep beneath a seemingly ordinary traditional building. He walked calmly through the eerie underground, unfazed by the insects crawling across the walls. Standing before a massive jar, he whispered a name, Terawaki, with an unsettling reverent tone. Inside the massive jar, countless venomous creatures writhed around a motionless, half-submerged human body. Still conscious, the young man lay surrounded by crawling insects, snakes, and suffocating silence. Climbing out, drenched in venom and blood, he faced his mentor with a tense smile. Despite agony, he joked about survival, calling it a lively and nearly fatal training session. Without hesitation, he stood firm and stated his true purpose. Garo-sama's future now concerned him. Eyes locked with determination, he demanded the full details, ready to act, no matter the consequences ahead. At the cafe entrance, Garo confidently reported his progress, impressively charming all three women simultaneously. Inside, the girl confessed her feelings for three boys, each from a different background entirely. Sweat poured as confusion overwhelmed him. The request to help decide left Garo completely stunned. While she mentioned her birthday and desire for a date, Konosaki calmly analyzed the situation. A phone screen revealed Garo's face, announced publicly as a love advisor to 200,000 followers. At the cafe entrance, Garo confidently reported his progress, impressively charming all three women simultaneously. Inside, the girl confessed her feelings for three boys, each from a different background entirely. Sweat poured as confusion overwhelmed him. The request to help decide left Garo completely stunned. While she mentioned her birthday and desire for a date, Konosaki calmly analyzed the situation. A phone screen revealed Garo's face, announced publicly as a love advisor to 200,000 followers. Garo nervously offered encouragement, emphasizing honesty and heart, while the student eagerly scribbled everything down. Exhausted by tension, he excused himself, staggering to the restroom as encouragement echoed behind him. Doubt crept in again. Had his words helped at all? Konosaki answered with relentless confidence. New visitors shared confessions. What started as playful romance slowly became something deeper, more vulnerable and true. More voices poured in. Love stories and creative pleas overwhelmed him, burning his patience thin. Confessions kept coming, hesitations, age gaps, persistent thoughts, all weighing heavier on Garo's already crowded mind. From uncertain partners to passionate students, each story pressed Garo deeper into emotional and mental exhaustion. Collapsed from overload, he faced the truth: there were still 20 more love problems ahead. Desperation took hold. Determined to keep going, he injected himself with wit-enhancing poison mid-crisis. Though everyone expected solutions, Garo doubted himself deeply. What advice could he possibly give to anyone? Instead of judging him, Konosaki calmly accepted his doubt, her confidence unwavering and her expression sincere. She explained her intention, revealing others' struggles so he'd understand the weight behind their feelings. Recalling Arashiyama's confession, she pointed out how panic had shaken his self-assurance at that moment. Guilt clouded his thoughts, believing his reaction had failed her, but she reminded him otherwise, gently. Despite stumbling, he kept trying. That alone, Konosaki affirmed, was proof of someone giving everything. Encouragement came easily from Konosaki, who assured him his progress would eventually lead somewhere meaningful. Despite her praise, she reminded him the journey wasn't over and mistakes still happened often. Trying to respond confidently, he encouraged a visitor, slowly stepping into his role without hesitation. The girl smiled, grateful for his words. Her reaction boosted his confidence more than expected. Afterward, he joined Konosaki again. While she celebrated with candy, he quietly rewarded himself too. Crossing the busy city, Garo wandered through crowds, lost in thought about recent events. His sister Akari greeted him warmly and quickly asked about his supposed marriage progress. A sudden realization struck him. Something in her expression hinted at something deeper, more urgent. Akari revealed grave news. Terowaki, a dangerous figure from the branch family, had begun moving. Jiro, a skilled assassin once favored by the clan, lost everything after one betrayal. Unexpectedly, Akari approached him in public, extending a plain paper bag, without explanation. Inside was a souvenir snack, an odd gift that left him sweating in silent confusion. She explained it came from Okinawa, where she reunited with her girlfriend on vacation. Photos revealed laughter, beaches, crafts, her joy evident. He watched quietly, emotions tangled beneath his smile. While eating quietly, he froze. Her words, simple, sincere, struck deeper than anything he'd expected. Tears shimmered as Akari beamed, declaring her joy, finally living the life she dreamed. Though the clan shifted its favor away, she whispered thanks for shielding her from judgment. Guilt surfaced in her voice, regret heavy. She blamed herself for years of silent burdens. But he smiled, unburdened. For the first time, he felt grateful just standing beside her. Akari expressed gratitude, her world expanding with each step taken beyond the clan's shadow. They remembered darker days, rigid rules, silent suffering when hope felt buried under endless torment. He glanced at her, a quiet smile forming, sensing how far they'd both come. Surprised by her reaction, he tensed slightly, unsure why her silence felt suddenly intense. Laughter returned quickly. She teased him warmly, both walking forward, changed by Kinosaki's subtle guidance. On their way home, light conversation filled the air until an unexpected interruption hijacked everything. A massive screen revealed Teruaki's face, stunning the crowd and freezing Gero in disbelief. Panic surged in Teruaki's voice as the crowd swelled, curiosity turning into roaring chaos. Without warning, bodies collapsed around them. Teruaki vanished, laughing nervously behind a conjured digital curtain. Silence returned briefly. Both siblings stood breathless, shaken by Teruaki's sudden, overwhelming public declaration. Bodies collapsed across the street. Akari struggled to breathe, panic tightening in every direction around her. Above the chaos, Teruaki's voice echoed calmly, declaring the attack complete without remorse or hesitation. He mocked Gero mission, questioning the purpose behind his pursuit of marriage amidst collapsing strength. With a sinister grin, Teruaki revealed the truth: the crowd had fallen to his poison. Akari lay among the unconscious. Gero trembled, realizing Teruaki's betrayal went deeper than simple rivalry. Akari questioned him directly. Was this revenge for the broken engagement and lost leadership title? Teruaki responded with laughter, brushing aside the accusation as if it were meaningless noise. He denied ambition, deflecting blame, insisting Gero alone deserved power within the clan's strict hierarchy. Mockery followed. Teruaki leaned in, blaming Gero distractions for letting him gain the upper hand. Something in Gero shifted, determination returned, and Teruaki instantly sensed the change, eyes widening in shock. Teruaki declared Gero a prodigy, echoing their mentor's praise, pressing expectations onto his shoulders. He scolded the world's leniency, demanding Gero abandon distractions and commit fully to ambition. With unsettling sincerity, Teruaki pledged loyalty, claiming himself as Gero's rightful partner in fulfilling the clan's legacy. He revealed his next move, the assassination of Mei Kinosaki, whom he saw as deceitful. Late at night, she arrived with a gift, a rare chocolate, warmly offered at the reception. Reaching her brother's bedside, she playfully poked him awake, grateful he was still alive. She recalled rumors of his mischief, sneaking off at night to explore restricted hospital buildings. Not long ago, she had feared the worst, believing he might never regain consciousness. Relief turned to laughter. Despite everything, he returned to normal, restless, noisy, and full of life. While enjoying the chocolate gift, the nurses praised Okito's sister for her beauty and warmth. They laughed about Okito's future popularity, unaware she firmly warned him not to hurt anyone. Later, she leaned close with a gentle smile, asking him to outlive her someday. Under the quiet moonlight, she chatted casually, unaware danger loomed just beyond the hospital door. As she smiled brightly, someone darkened the threshold, an ominous presence she hadn't yet sensed. An unexpected attacker burst through the window, claws raised, aiming straight for the unsuspecting woman. Before impact lands, two figures leap in, positioning themselves between the danger and the siblings. The room trembles as fists clash midair. Everyone freezes in panic, sensing a deadly confrontation. Jiro delivers a brutal counter, his heel crashing into the enemy's face with crackling force. Just outside the room, she hears the noise and instinctively turns toward the growing chaos. While Jiro rested peacefully, the woman noticed movement near the hospital window and froze cautiously. Suddenly, an attacker burst in violently, claws outstretched aiming directly for the unsuspecting duo inside. Before the strike could land, two figures crashed through the window, intercepting the threat midair. The intruder's eyes widened with shock, realizing too late he had misjudged their fierce resistance. Without hesitation, the glasses-wearing man dealt a powerful blow, sending the enemy flying across the hall. A battered man lay on the ruined bed, speaking bitterly of the sister now gone. Outside, survivors struggled to heal the wounded as he remembered those he had harmed before. Memories of lost dinners and warm laughter flooded him, overshadowed by guilt he couldn't silence. He stood silent while the bloodied figure rose, dismissing blame as if it meant nothing. A smile twisted across his bruised face, declaring the Giro family's legacy above all else. The spooky streamer hyped up the camera, flaunting confidence beside a long-abandoned building entrance. Lights flickered as he led the crew into the ruined hospital, unaware of lurking danger inside. Suddenly, a black mass struck with terrifying force, sending confusion and fear across every shaken face. Dark energy surged through the hallway. Someone appeared within too fast, too unnatural to be human. A gas can rolled as they collapsed, the leader muttering about lights before losing consciousness. Without hesitation, the suited man deleted the evidence and observed the unconscious group in silence. A confrontation sparked quietly. Jiro, bloodied but defiant, met the stranger's praise with cautious confidence. Despite the compliment, Jiro confessed weakness. Killing cleanly without collateral was a skill he lacked. Vengeance surged through him. Poison threads unraveled with deadly precision, aiming to punish the heartless killer. Multiple needles embedded deep. Pain pulsed beneath skin as poison began eating into the assassin's nerves. Poison flowed through the syringe as vision narrowed. This strike had to end everything now. Jiro launched forward with precision, plunging the toxin deep into the enemy's chest. No hesitation remained. His body collapsed beside shattered dolls. Poison took hold slowly, stretching agony into breathless silence. A voice cracked with anger. Jiro demanded answers. This cruelty couldn't have come from their grandmother. Surprisingly, the man stirred. Despite pain from 1,000 torments, he laughed and rose again. Standing unfazed, he declared torment meaningless. Glaring close, he prepared to deliver a vicious return. Ultrafine poison threads exploded outward. Jiro's body jerked violently as venom punctured through his weakened defenses. Blood sprayed. His limp body fell midair while voices screamed his name. Helpless to intervene, poison wrapped around him like wires of... His collapsing body trembled under unbearable internal damage. Fading breath escaped cracked lips. Vision blurred. Fingers twitched, still resisting even as everything dimmed around him. Collapsed and bleeding, Jiro admitted his weakness. Talent had never favored him among the other heirs. His past flashed vividly. Daily training, endless struggles, and relentless determination carved his path to survival. He consumed poisons once crafted for death. Preparation demanded pain. His body adapted and resolve deepened. Both fighters writhed. Their bodies rejected the overload. Jiro clenched his chest, overwhelmed by internal chaos. Breathing heavily, he steadied himself. Survival came close to failure. Overdose nearly sent him to death. Eyes wild with desperation, he threw himself over Jiro, determined to force one final test. He pleaded for release, pushing Jiro to awaken his true strength through real killing intent. Kneeling over him, Jiro hesitated. The request clashed with everything carved into his moral core. Blood pooled beneath them as resolve deepened. A loyal follower offered himself as lasting foundation. Despite pain and madness, he smiled. His joy came from pushing Jiro toward his destiny. Should Jiro fail to rise, the responsibility to lead the clan would fall to him. Collapsed on the cold floor, Jiro lay unresponsive as Mei clapped desperately above him. Terror spread through Mei's face, hands trembling while calling out to the unmoving Jiro repeatedly. His wide eyes froze as silence answered him. Accepting the worst had already come true. Suddenly, Jiro stirred with a faint glow, whispering thanks before a strange energy surged upward. With explosive speed, Mei launched into brutal strikes, fists crashing down on the startled enemy's face. Jiro's lifeless body hit the ground. His glasses landed beside him without a sound. Tears welled up as Teraraki faced him, whispering goodbye with guilt tightening around his chest. With slow steps he turned away, unaware of the awakening presence silently forming behind him. A firm voice stopped him mid-step. Jiro rose, bruised but alive, eyes locked with Teraraki. Energy crackled in the air as their wills collided, ready to clash one final time. Without hesitation, Jiro launched forward, his strike tearing through the air toward Teraraki's exposed stance. Spreading his arms wide, Jiro blocked the exit, refusing to let Teraraki slip away again. He admitted escape was pointless. Living in fear wasn't the future he wanted to build anymore. Accepting the inevitable, he dared Teraraki to fight seriously, demanding full effort in this confrontation. Finally, Jiro revealed his true wish, a future where family, even Teraraki, accepts his happiness. Teraraki remained silent, but his body tensed as Jiro suddenly darted forward in alarm. Eyes wide with disbelief, he barely reacted before Jiro advanced again, forcing him to retreat. Frustration boiled over as Teraraki shouted, fists clenched, demanding an answer for Jiro's relentless resolve. Blood spilled from his mouth while fleeing through the forest, his strength deteriorating with each step. Eventually his legs gave out entirely, body collapsing onto the rocky trail beneath the moonlight. Still conscious but weak, he wheezed against the dirt as shadowy beasts began to encroach. Before collapse reclaimed him, two companions arrived, lifting his weight, supporting him without hesitation or question. As breath returned in fragments, recognition stirred, and he murmured his master's name with disbelief. Fatigue overtook him again, while Jiro subtly reached toward his lips, deciding something unspoken with resolve. Without warning, he dashed after the others, leaving behind hesitation to confront what awaited ahead. Teraraki shouted furiously, rejecting the idea of family betrayal and vowing to stop Jiro permanently. Instead of countering, Jiro embraced him tightly, letting silence speak louder than retaliation ever could. Softly, he promised Teraraki an invitation, proof that his new path wouldn't erase their shared history. Stunned by compassion, Teraraki's grip loosened as something deep within him finally began to crack. His strength exhausted, he collapsed in defeat, accepting this was all he had left. After the clash ended, Jiro supported Teraraki's exhausted frame, offering quiet peace in his arms. Then he smiled gently, hoping his brother would accept the invitation to join his new life. Tears fell as Teraraki clutched him, overwhelmed by warmth he thought he'd never feel again. At last he leaned into the embrace, whispering hurtfully honest words neither of them denied. Master Gero endured every toxin, overturned defeat, and forced his opponent into orchestrating their own failure. Under pressure, Terahaki confirmed the impossible truth. His master now sought blessings for a wedding. A chilling silence cracked into a smile. The elder called the announcement magnificent with unrateable ease. Despite unease, Terahaki listened as the elder admitted concern over Gero's obsession with marriage pursuits. It became clear the test wasn't punishment, but proof Gero's growth exceeded every cautious expectation. His request to gain approval shattered composure, revealing deeper cracks than anyone present had anticipated. Although surprised, the elder smiled faintly. Gero blood still dictated his path, unalterable by conviction or desire. Terahaki, stunned by the weight of the moment, accepted the summoned vessel pulsing with inherited power. They acknowledged Gero's struggle. His relentless efforts demanded that others match his pace, no matter what. Despite past violations and risks, they recognized his journey remained incomplete, far from mastering his poisonous lineage. Exhausted and struggling to breathe, Terahaki justified his actions as loyalty for the family's sake. Later that night, a quiet kitchen buzzed with judgment over his reckless civilian endangering stunt. Some victims stirred unharmed, but lingering doubts settled in, challenging whether intent truly outweighed consequence. Questions rose about his motives. Perhaps everything had been a desperate plea to gain acknowledgement from above. Despite her complaints, Akari seemed to understand. Beneath frustration, she sensed something deeper behind his actions. Dinner interrupted the teasing moment, but the air still carried warmth that softened lingering tensions. Everyone enjoyed the meal. While they laughed, Gero received a message summoning him for another assignment. Arriving at the meeting spot, he voiced hesitation, unsure about diving straight into another mission. Before he could object, Kinosaki confronted him, declaring his actions proof of joining Operation White Knight. Recognition struck. His earlier sacrifice hadn't gone unnoticed. She knew he had stepped in to save her. No matter how much he changed, Kinosaki believed she'd always understand him without effort. As the tension faded, she teased him playfully, while he prepared to confess his regrets. He finally spoke, blaming himself for endangering her during a moment tied deeply to family affairs. Her voice softened, recalling how he saved her life that day when she had no hope. Though he stayed silent, her forgiveness reached him, leaving a quiet impact he hadn't expected to feel. Despite threats still looming, Gero acknowledged how much danger Kinasaki had endured for his mission. Mutual trust deepened, both now fully committed to pushing their matchmaking plan further than ever before. Kinasaki revealed her urgency. Every remaining moment would be used to give this mission her all. A sudden car arrival disrupted the calm. Its chaotic speed signaled something far worse than expected. With no time to react, the vehicle slammed into the wall, leaving silence in its wake. Relief followed the crash. The chaotic driver laughed, completely unbothered by her reckless entrance. Embarrassed by her performance, she tried apologizing, only to receive unexpected praise for the wild ride. Rather than argue, Gero shrugged and carried her along as they walked, sipping his energy drink. Just moments later, the parked car exploded behind them, narrowly missing them thanks to quick instinct. Their casual introduction was interrupted by flames. Realization hit hard. They had definitely lost that vehicle. Smoke still clung to her clothes as the group confirmed her identity with stunned, proud certainty. Seeing the flames grow worse, Gero calmly prepared a solution, relying on his custom chemical spray. Chinato takes charge after rescuing Reni, whose life is threatened by a dangerous criminal organization. They accept help from strangers nearby, hoping to replace the vehicle wrecked in a crash. While walking together, Irina quietly observes Gero, curious about his calm presence despite the danger. Irina suddenly warns Gero not to develop feelings for Chinatsu, her tone surprisingly intense and protective. Without hesitation, she drafts a blood oath contract forbidding love, shocking everyone with her dramatic seriousness. That dazzling smile momentarily stuns Gero, prompting Irina to panic and cover Chinatsu's face. Recognizing the tension, Gero offers a Mixi-Mix Zin kit as a peace gesture. Despite his effort, the gift fails. Winning Irina's trust proves harder than anticipated. Suddenly, Chinatsu senses danger ahead. A massive spiked trap swings violently into their escape path. Acting fast, they leap together through crumbling debris, shielding the girls from the devastating impact below. After narrowly escaping the wrecking ball, they realize heavier artillery has joined the enemy's ambush. Dozens of steamrollers charge forward, aiming to crush them flat as part of a brutal assault. Despite the danger, Chinatsu reassures the group, vowing to protect them without hesitation or retreat. She instructs Gero to stay ready in the vehicle while she handles the advancing threat. Marking the boundary with tape, Chinatsu steps forward alone, declaring the combat zone officially restricted. With swift precision, Chinatsu uses keep-out tape to disarm and subdue the lead attacker. She leaps into the air, executing a powerful sideways smash that sends steamrollers crashing apart violently. The defeated machines crumble into a heap, leaving the others in stunned silence at her strength. Calm and composed, Chinatsu declares her duty fulfilled, treating the chaos as routine daily work. While the others express awe, she explains her role as an elite protector from the underworld. The battle's aftermath brings honesty as Chinatsu reveals her true mission, protecting Irina from hired killers. Grateful and full of joy, Irina expresses her admiration. Her trust in Chinatsu finally solidifies. Everyone watches as Chinatsu's bashful grin lights up the room, unintentionally charming the entire group again. Realizing the danger of emotional attachment, Irina panics, warning others not to fall under Chinatsu's spell. Though Gero struggles with strategy, the team agrees Chinatsu's confident attitude keeps things moving forward smoothly. Spotting the assassin's abandoned car, they consider using it despite obvious risks of being tracked. Though clearly uneasy, Gero confidently takes the wheel, hoping to earn points through skilled driving. Moments later, his reckless swerves and crashes reveal his confidence far exceeds actual driving ability. With tension high, he finally confesses his driving skills are rusty and unreliable under pressure. Taking control, Zhao drives calmly while the others sit quietly, silently grateful the ride has stabilized. From afar, a new group notices the car, recognizing Gero as a well-known poison specialist.